Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4Player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 638. My name is Nick Henderson. I am joined this evening by Brad Simons.
What's up?
Nolan Hedstrom.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we get this week? Nolan, you were...
Christopher month of quarantine.
Jesus Christ. Christopher Guthridge is joining us.
Hey.
And Christopher Davis.
Good evening from the shitty mic.
No, this is the good mic. What we've been trying to explain to you, Chris Davis, is whatever microphone we hear right now sounds perfect. Don't touch anything. Anyways, welcome to the show, everybody. I hope everybody out there is doing good, staying healthy, playing lots of video games. The time has come. The Final Fantasy VII Remake is out. We're going to talk about that tonight.
Oh, God.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was just in my head.
Nope, that was definitely out loud. We're going to talk about the Final Fantasy VII Remake as well as Disaster Report 4 and among other things. But of course, before we get started, I want to shoot the shit for a second. How's everybody doing in quarantine? Staying away 6 feet away from other human beings, I assume. Yes.
Pretty good. Yeah, I've been staying away from people, definitely.
What is that I see you fiddling.
I'm working on something here.
You putting together a Gundam?
Yeah, it's probably a Gunpla.
No, it's not a Gundam, actually.
Care to share with the class?
Yeah, it's a Kapu.
A what?
It's a Kapu. K-Pool, Kapu.
Is that a Persona thing?
There's another smaller robot that's gonna go in there.
Oh, that's
cutie.
neat.
Little cutie. And these are what the arms look like.
So this would be like a capsule robot or something?
Well, yeah, it's
Is this becoming your quarantine hobby? I don't feel like I've ever seen you put these together.
I have bought like 9 of these on Amazon the last 3 weeks.
So that sounds like a yes.
And yeah.
Nice.
It's
well. And Nolan, we missed you last week. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, just needed a week off last week. I hadn't really played much. In all honesty, I still haven't really played much. I've been doing a lot of I've been using the opportunities that have been afforded to me by staying home to do other things I've needed to do for years.
Like check the
stuff
pH
around the
balance
house.
of your grass.
Dude, my grass is horrible. My neighbors keeps doing all this shit to his, and I'm just kind of trying to peek over the fence to see what he's doing so I can do anything.
And then he swats you like, get out, get in your yard, get away from me.
No, I actually finally am paying someone to help me with the lawn, not mowing it, but the actual helping with weeds. They're gonna aerate my lawn. It's never been aerated. I'm sure most people's lawns have not been aerated. They're gonna oversee.
I honestly don't even know what that means.
Yeah, what does that mean?
They use a device that goes across the ground, and it has these little tubes that stick into the ground, and they pull out essentially a plug of dirt, which will disintegrate over time, and that I guess opens up the ground to receive more nutrients and kind of I don't know. I'm not a fucking grass scientist over here.
I'm not a grass scientist, but I'm paying someone to do it for me anyways.
Exactly.
You got a good friend that's a grassologist.
Yeah, Scarecrow in chat says you're creating tiny baby sinkholes in your.
Exactly. Gotta catch all those June bugs and whatever.
And
just shit like that. Since we've been home, walking the dogs every day instead of just, we would maybe walk them a couple times a week. But now we're doing it for at least half an hour, 45 minutes every day. In addition to already playing with them. And I also take Butters with me on runs. And yeah.
Just gotta get outdoors.
Since me have been trapped at home, we've been playing more games together and stuff like that.
Nice. You're gonna give us an update on Animal Crossing later, I hear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Okay. Well, let's start with feedback. Of course, that's what we usually start with. Last week, Nolan, I'm sure you heard David was on the show.
I did.
Yeah, so David was here, so we have some feedback from last week's show. Fuzzy Turd has our first comment this week. He says, "This was one of the best shows in a while. Loved the mini tangents. Also, the Brad rant about PS4s was appreciated, even though I love the console's design." Wait, he loves the console's design?
I guess he's referring to the controller.
Well, Brad was ranting specifically about the slantedness of the
among
console and how.
Oh,
among
sorry.
other things.
He's referring to the slanted nature of the PS4.
Yeah,
the Pro has, and I guess even like the base model has that. I got you. It's like
it's a parallelogram.
Yeah, we were talking about that in relation to like the DualSense controller and what we could kind of glean from that about the PS5's potential design.
Gotcha.
And we're like, hopefully they do away with that slanted design. He says, also regarding Chris Davis and the bad taste in his mouth from the awesome DualSense controller, you're not supposed to fucking taste them, bro. That's irresponsible considering the pandemic. Like, what the bitch, man? That was word for word what he wrote. That's all I'm saying. He also says, Nick, you're a fantastic host and my favorite. I don't know what he's comparing me to. We might
positive reinforcement after the shit show last week.
Wait, what did you say, Brad?
One that can take control of their own podcast.
Which I demonstrated last week. I clearly could not. But that's okay. It turned out well, I think. He says, it's just David was great at dodging your rope. You're doing a lot of things right, given that this is the only podcast I still listen to, and hope y'all stick around forever, or at least long enough to get to my fucking questions. I have some damn good ones, I swear. I think we may have a question from him tonight. We shall see.
David's like a rodeo clown, and you're trying to lasso him, but it's all part of he's just making you look like a fool.
Yes, it had been a while since I had experienced that before. So different, felt new. But yes, you're right. Slopdog says, I second Fuzzy Turd's compliments. You're a great host, Nick. Oh, thanks. And do a great job corralling conversations back on track. And you did your best with David. It's just David's life. David is like a feral infant living inside of a bus. All you want to do is drive the bus from point A to point B, but David wants to go off-roading, so he tries to pull the steering wheel this way and that way, yanking at the gear shift, interrupts you 3 or 4 times in a row when you're trying to get directions, all the while cackling in your ear. Yeah, that sounds about right. But every now and then he'll chill and lay on some observations for you to chew on. That's a very I think that's a very accurate assessment of David. But he says, but what I miss about the old 4PP is Brad Appetit and highlights on the YouTube channel. Enjoyed seeing what snacks Brad had picked up or was given. And that scream when Crispy's lips was tenderly caressed with a hot dog is constantly on my mind. Ooh.
Just send Brad terrible things to eat in the P.O. box, and he'll start up Brad Appetit again. I
just ate some kettle corn live on the stream. If you want Brad Appetit, you just got to watch one of my streams. I stuff my face all night long.
I don't know if now is the best time to be sending food to a P.O. box. Oh, God, Brad. Thanks for that noise.
HEB brand Coke Zero.
Oh, how's that? I've never had... That sounds probably not good.
I think it's just fine.
What is that called?
It's called Zero Original Cola.
Mm.
The Dr. B's all right.
Is it though?
You think it's like
it's not a Dr. Pepper, but it's all right.
Do you think the B in Dr. B is the same B as like in HEB?
Yeah, Dr. Butts. Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Butts.
Oh, I forgot. That is what that stands for, isn't it?
Dr. Butts.
Do we have any more feedback?
Yeah, Thorax says...
I'm a little behind.
I think David and Resident Evil 6 have something in common. I think David and Resident Evil 6 have something in common. They're both misunderstood and should be given a chance by Nick. I look forward to more future appearances of David. That's pretty funny. And Scarecrow just wants to ask us if we can mention when we're doing supporter questions, when the question was asked, so they would have an idea when to expect their question, because we are still going through a backlog of questions. I will say this. I kind of mix them up every week, so I'm not necessarily going down the row. I'm one, considering what we're talking about on the podcast already, so if there's relevant questions, I think I tend to prioritize those. And 2, I try to get some new questions and some old questions on every episode. That way we are still getting in. We're not just always playing catch up.
We should say fake dates, like, oh, here's a question from Bob from 1997.
I'm not opposed to that at all.
Ooh,
I think that's a
throwback.
fantastic. I think it's a fantastic idea, Nolan. I'm going to ask you to spearhead that tonight when we get to that segment. All right, that's it for feedback, guys. Thank you very much. If you have anything you want to say after tonight's episode, of course, leave us a comment at 4playernetwork.com. We'll read it next week.
When
What's
we
up,
first
Brad?
met Bob, he brought us a giant bag of Ghirardelli chocolates.
That's a fact.
Ghirardelli?
I remember, yeah. Ghirardelli.
When
Is it a
was
soft
that?
G or a hard G? It was at PAX in Seattle. We were at Joseph's, and he showed up. He's like, "Hey guys, I'm Bob. Here's a giant bag of Ghirardelli chocolates."
That's how you leave a good first impression, I suppose, unless you hate chocolate like me.
And I
That
was like,
explains
"I'll have
why I
some
don't
of those."
like Bob.
Yeah.
Facts.
What?
What?
Oh my god. What a bombshell.
I'm just kidding. I love Bob. All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about fucking video games. The fucking Final Fantasy VII Remake is
Is
out.
that what we're starting with?
Are we not? Do you want to start somewhere else, Brad?
Hey, start at the beginning.
I think we should start with Final Fantasy VII. It's the new hotness, the big new thing.
I don't think
And
it's
most
new.
Confrontational. Go ahead.
So we've been anticipating this game for a while, right? Or I don't know if anticipating is the right word.
Since 2005,
more or
when
less.
they announced it for the PS3.
That wonderful tech demo.
So we've had a lot of conversations about this game prior, mostly centered around one, what the fuck is this game? Two, is this, for a while the question was, so is this just Midgar? And then it was finally confirmed that it's just Midgar, and then it became very apparent, very clear that yes, this is going to be multiple games. So how are they going to handle that? How long is the first game going to be? When are we going to expect the second game? There's so many unanswered questions now that it's out and we've played a chunk of it. Most of us.
No, there isn't a big open city that you can drive your motorcycle around and take side missions all over the city. And it's not that. But it's also not 15 hours long.
You're right. It is not. I mean,
which is exciting, right?
Yeah. I mean, so I guess I should. I'm not very far in this yet. Chris Davis fucking finished it. He plowed through it like a madman. And Brad, I don't know how much of it have you played so far?
About 20 hours.
Okay, so I'm only about 5 hours in, roughly, which is kind of where the footage you're seeing tonight is from. So I might have a lot of questions for both of y'all in terms of what's coming, because right now I'm kind of still in this point in the game where like I'm just I don't know if what I'm seeing and experiencing is representative of the entire game.
What are you seeing and hearing, Nick?
Well, I still very much feel like I'm kind of in the the story setup, and I don't really know how parts of the story or parts of the world are connected, or because somebody on Twitter mentioned this, and I started to think about it while I was playing it, and that was like everybody's kind of raving about this game. Like this game's actually getting really, really good reviews, and perhaps rightfully so. But I'm playing it, and somebody said this game feels very similar in terms of structure to like Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah.
And I started to think about that.
I've heard those comparisons.
And is it stay that way for the first 20 hours of gameplay? Is it like that?
It's Midgar. So
but like
it's very linear.
Yeah, it's
I mean, have you gotten to Sector 7 slums yet? I mean,
Yeah,
you're here.
yeah.
This is your footage.
I
have you gotten to the
did
part where you're doing like side quests within the slums?
Yes,
okay, that's the most open the game gets, really.
Oh my god, are you serious?
No, it gets a little bit more open, but not much.
So that's kind of what I was afraid of.
It sounds like it's more open than Final Fantasy VII through this point in the game. Sorry, let me.
Through this point in the game, sure. I mean, it basically flows almost exactly like Midgar and Final Fantasy VII does, except when you get to like the slums areas, there's a few side quests, a handful of side quests, each time. Like,
I mean, I'm going to be honest, I haven't played Final Fantasy VII in quite some time.
Okay, well, you made this conversation really difficult, Nick.
Well, no, but in my head,
easy to replay.
I mean, I have played the game like 4 or 5 times in my life, so I feel like I know it pretty well. And when I think about Midgar, despite Midgar not necessarily being my favorite part of that game, I don't think it was really anybody's. like I still
That's not true.
felt like that was more like I had more freedom to kind of like go in between areas more frequently. No, is that
no,
misremembering that?
Very, very linear.
Yeah.
Very, very
So,
linear.
I mean,
This
I
is bad.
replayed it like within the last like 3 months.
Yeah, I also
no,
replayed
it's
Midgar.
yeah, it's super linear. There's not really the most side you can get is walking into like a shop on the side of the street.
Wall
That
market is probably
parts-
the most
yeah.
back and forth you do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point, Brad. When you're in Walmart and you're maybe trying to like get Cloud's like outfit complete for to go see Don whatever his name
Corneo.
is. Don
Yeah.
Quixote, yeah. That is the most side questy that the gets in
Okay.
Midgar.
Yeah, I mean, I guess probably just I
and
haven't.
that quest is mandatory with optional stuff tacked on, basically. And this game structurally is just Midgar, but stretched out.
Yes.
Stretched. There are sequences in this game that are like a single screen that takes a minute to walk across in the original.
Yeah.
And this game will be stretched out into like an hour of like kind of like an area. They'll turn a screen into like an area.
Huh. So
Like,
I mean, to me,
when I
Letters
said
stretched
talk
over.
about your Gundams on the show, I didn't mean just build them on the show.
But yeah, so the game consists of basically.
Is your mic muted?
I'm sorry, I have nothing to contribute to this
Sure
conversation
you do.
whatsoever.
Sure you do.
Crispy hasn't played Final Fantasy VII proper, like at all.
But cultural
Well, like,
osmosis.
I have played Midgard of the original Final
There you
Fantasy
go.
VII. That's about
There
it.
you go.
And I
It's
do
that-
remember it being very scene to scene and linear. So
Yeah, very scene to
Yeah.
scene.
There are
Yeah.
there are 3 primary chapters in the game that are supposed to be open for you to go do side quests and a bunch of different content. But it's like that's it. The rest of the game is like very much you have to follow these characters. You have to stick to the beaten path. And if you try to go off that path, it's literally going to tell you, warning, you can't go
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm finding a lot of now, and that's what I'm running into, and I'm gonna be, so I've had like 3 sessions I think so far of playing this game.
Shit.
And my first session was obviously very very focused on like what I played in the demo already, and then I started to kind of go beyond that a little bit, and I started to get really excited, and I kept thinking to myself like, oh man, like the fact this game exists is kind of crazy, and like the way they've brought these characters to life is kind of crazy. Like I'm loving that aspect of it, but then I keep running into things that are kind of bugging me about the game, and that's mostly. I'm gonna be honest. I think a lot of this stems from the fact that I played The Witcher 3, and then immediately rolled into this. Let me tell you, Witcher 3 side quest before playing side quests in this game. Holy shit!
Yeah,
Night
but
and day.
these are like barely. I mean, these things
I
are
know.
just tacked on.
I-
This is
Well,
not the meat of.
I was gonna say I wouldn't be surprised if the side quest in Witcher had better story than the story in Final Fantasy VII.
You're absolutely right, and but like the thing when I'm not doing the side quest in this game, not doing all the fetch quests and all that stuff, like this game is kind of amazing and beautiful and just like super exciting and nostalgic. But I'm worried. I keep thinking to myself, if I don't do this stuff, is this game gonna be 15 hours?
No, dude.
Okay.
The side quests are probably adding like 10 hours onto like a 40-hour game or
I
whatever.
would
Okay.
agree with that.
Like or yeah. This is
Well, so hold on, Brad. So you say the side quest add 10 hours to a 40-hour game, right?
yeah. You could
So
probably
all the side
finish
quests
it
are very
How-
short.
If you ignore the side quests,
how-
it'd probably be like
How
30 hours.
spread out is that 40 hours? Is my question.
It's spread out throughout the game. Well, you
No,
get to
I
the
mean,
areas that are
I
more-
mean, like, how much bullshit could you pluck out of that 40 hours and have it be a condensed? This is the actual game. Does that make sense? Like you had mentioned, like, oh, you have to, like, in the first game, there was like a section that's like a single screen, and now they kind of stretch it out into an hour. Does that hour feel stretched out, or does it just feel like there's actual stuff going on that is keeping
No,
you engaged?
everything
and you're
feels
interested?
stretched out. So you get to these hub areas where you could do a little bit of side quests, right? And those you can spend a lot of time in. But even the areas that are very linear, mandatory main story stuff is very stretched out in kind of a slow and frustrating way sometimes, actually. Like the lead up to the second reactor is just like, what even is this area? Like just remove it from the fucking game. Like they wanted to make a long game, and I was skeptical of that, and they did that. Even if you ignore the side quests.
One of the funny things I heard about this, and so I have not played this game. I've heard a few things about it. I heard that one of the issues the game has is technical with textures. I heard there's a lot of really bad textures.
I'm gonna tell you this. I was in a cutscene yesterday, and I could not stop staring at the door behind Cloud. Had no texture.
So the funny thing I heard was towards the end of the game, they had to kind of, I guess, squash a bunch of that because the game was getting too large. And my thought was, well, why don't you just pull out all the bullshit then, make the game smaller, and then you aren't stuck with that texture issue. And I guess my fear is then, I guess their fear would be that, oh, the game would be too short. Like to me, it seems like their concept for this was, hey, we can't just release Midgar. That's not enough. We have to stretch it out. But it seems like they did so little work to stretch it out in a good way that it just almost feels like bullshit. And now it added another issue on top of that, with that they added too much bullshit. And so now, like, one of the most basic things, fucking textures in a game, they had to like squash those down.
I'm surprised textures didn't get added in like a day one patch, because there are quite a few textures that are just straight up missing. Like, I don't even think it's a matter of them not loading. I don't think they exist. I don't think they're there to be loaded.
I heard that PS Pores have a lot of issues, especially because of the fact that Cloud can run, and so when you're running, you'll like run up to somewhere, and all of a sudden, all these textures just like pop in when you get close.
Yeah, not to mention the character pop in too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean the game runs fine. It's just got these weird texture issues, which honestly,
you just gotta remember that this is a late gen game. Like they pretty much maximize the best they can do with the PS4, but it's probably more optimized for that next generation, flow. Like the PS5, when that comes out, and this is going to be on it because they'll do that. It'll run at 60 frames per second. They'll have all the texture loading issues solved. Pop in really probably won't be an issue.
I mean, I think that's the dream, right?
There's some streaming issues.
Just how they did it with, like Shadow of the Colossus, late gen PS2 game, so they made it run shitty. They made it fucking fantastic for that console. I mean, that's one of those things where, like, I don't know if that is their reasoning. If either A, it's going to come out on PC, and so eventually this will have a much better performing console, or yes, the PS5, but Xbox One X or whatever. Consoles can run it much better, but I think it's extremely dumb, like I said, that they stretched out. They added content, and adding all of that content created more problems, and the content they added isn't even good. Once again,
so before we talk shit about the side quests, I want to say they are compelling, and I have been doing every single one.
Wait, the side quests are compelling?
Let me explain why they're compelling. Not because of, hey, this is a cool little side story, but because I think the systems in the game, like the materia system, is like pretty addictive, and you kind of want to get like, oh, is this going to have a new accessory or a new weapon or a new materia? Like all that stuff's really good. And I'm constantly juggling all these materia. Like, oh, I want to level up all of these because some of these sound really good, or I want to get a new weapon. That's how it was
in Final Fantasy VII as well. Like often I would choose a worse piece of armor because it has more slots, so I can level up more materia.
It's the same thing here, except now they introduced a lot of new materia that they didn't have in the original, that adds, ties into like the new combat system and all that stuff. I've been finding to be really addictive. I'm constantly frustrated that I can't slot in more materia, right? Where I'm purposely gimping myself in battle because I'm trying to level up one materia versus another. Like the meta to this game, all of that stuff has been really compelling and really addictive.
Yeah,
I've found the rewards for side quests my main drive to do them, even if the little side stories aren't all that much. But I will say they're not like, it's not like a Dragon Age Inquisition or whatever. Like each side quest does have like a little story. It's all fully voiced. It's not Witcher, but it's not
There's reasoning
not
behind what
Dragon
you're
Age.
doing.
Yeah, I mean, it helps build out like the the kind of the feel, like the atmosphere, the sort of the you get to know the people of the world that are inhabiting these slums or whatever, right? And it adds texture to the world. And I think it's not The Witcher, but they do a good job with it. I mean,
It definitely captures that feel of the original game of
well, it goes beyond the original game.
yeah,
I think
it goes
the
beyond it, but like I was worried this was going to lose some of its identity, and I don't feel like it's lost its identity. This does feel very Final Fantasy VII to me. It
yeah,
does feel
you're
very
right. It
familiar.
does. It its biggest success is the way they're kind of fleshing out characters and adding new texture to that story and that world of Midgar, and and I mean, it's doing that stuff surprisingly well. And one of my big concerns going into this remake of Final Fantasy VII early on when they first like announced this thing is like, I hate everything related to Final Fantasy VII outside of
That's
that main game. All the little fucking spin-offs, even the one like Advent Children and Crisis Core. I hate all that shit because it's like grim dark, self-serious, and just like, it's very edge lordy, right?
yeah.
Not only does this have all like the weird little goofy stuff from Final Fantasy VII, like the little things, I feel like they made it so important to have, since this is such a long stretched out game, to have every little goofy thing you did in that game and even expand on it in some situations. Not to like necessarily a great effect, but when you see it in there, it's like, oh man, they really do care about every little detail from that original game. Like when you're in sector 2 and you all three have to hit the button at the same time,
Oh
to
yeah.
like open a door, which is like frustrating in the original. Like they turned that into like a little mini game, right?
Yeah.
And like little fucking details. And when you go to Wall Market, every little weird quirky room you go into, like the little hut you go into and has like a Gatling gun that shoots at you or whatever, that's
Yeah.
fucking in there. Or like little things like when you first go to Eris's house and in her garden there's a purple materia on the ground, and that was very exciting in that game, right? Anytime you saw materia on the ground, those materia are almost always in those same spots.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
There actually is a purple materia on the ground in Eris's garden. You're like, fucking, they really did pay attention
Also, let
to
me
all
tell you,
those
like
little things.
the way the materia like looks in this game, like when someone hands you a materia,
Why is it
it's
so
fucking.
big?
I don't know why it's so big, but
And
it's
it goes
fucking
into your
gorgeous.
sword, and
It's
in
so
the way it
gorgeous.
looks in your weapon and accessories looks really good. Like
Yeah,
you're
no,
running around with a sword on your back, and you see the materia, and it's the colors that you slotted in, and it's like, wow, that's cool. And oh
So
man,
how are you feeling about the combat now that you've played a lot more of it beyond the demo?
it's fine. I mean, it's certainly better than like Final Fantasy 15 or Kingdom Hearts, but you also got to understand that I just played 50 hours of Neo 2, and
Yeah,
coming off of Neo 2,
it's a joke.
well, it's not a
Comparatively speaking.
joke. It just doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel that good. Like the dodging and the parrying and the combos and the way enemies explode. That's like the strength of Neo 2,
Yeah,
and it does it better than anyone. And then to come to this, it feels a little mushy. Like the
it
hit
is a little
detect.
mushy, but it also feel like it does feel nice. Like the
Yeah,
act of hitting
and
dudes and switching between characters and pulling up.
yeah,
Like I love the way like when you tap like X to pull up your command menu, like everything just instantly slows down and you have plenty of
that's
time to.
executed really
Like
well.
I don't
Yeah.
really worry about running out of time to select things, even though
You're
action
right.
is still technically moving along. Like it feels really nice.
That aspect is done well. It's probably some Square Enix's best action combat system I've seen, but I don't think it's quite. I mean, obviously it's no Neo, but I don't even think it's like feels as good as something like a Tales of game, like a modern Tales of game. It's not quite that snappy and responsive and and technical, I guess. There's some good ideas there, and like I said, it's backed up by like a really compelling materia system with like cool new materia, and that's kind of why that driving force for me to always be really excited when I have a combat encounter, because not just because it's fun and I feel like I'm getting better at it, but because I want to get that experience for my materia, because that stuff feels really good. Some RPGs. There's one I was playing very recently. I'm trying to fucking remember what the fuck have I been playing recently, where you get like Mountain Blade or whatever, right? Where you spend a lot of time grinding out like skill points in that game, right? And you get like, oh, here's a 5% bonus to your accuracy while you're mounted on a horse. You don't fucking feel that upgrade, right? But the upgrades in this game, you feel like all of them are really well done. To every time you level up like a materia, no matter the materia, it feels like a potent upgrade, and that makes you constantly want to grind that stuff out.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised at how well the materia system translated, not only to this remake, but also to this style of combat, which is obviously very different than the original.
I gotta say, the footage you're recording here is a little spoilery. Obviously, I mean, you're riding on a motorcycle and you're 5 hours into the game. You did that once in
I had to
Midgard, that was at
capture
the very
footage,
end.
and I just
Well,
captured
know,
what
but-
I had.
I know, but
There is a motorcycle sequence. I figured out. I didn't want to just. I figured if I captured footage and it was just like me running around town beating up rats, it would be really dull. Like this was that. I didn't record that entire motorcycle sequence. In fact, I stop it right before like the crazy shit starts to happen. But that sequence that you're watching right now in the footage is kind of an idea of like how they've translated that kind of stuff from the original to the new one. It still works very much the same in terms of like you're hitting circle to attack to the right, square to attack to the left. Like it feels like the original game, but like much snappier and much more responsive.
It's not. It still goes on too long, and it's not that.
It does go on a bit long. A lot of times those sequences go on just for the sake of giving the characters time to talk to each other about stuff. And
that's really good.
That dialogue is so good.
Yeah, I think
Thirsty Jessie is the best character of the year so far.
Yeah, she is really good.
I fucking love it.
Good. Or although she's a tease. Hey, did you already did the sequence in the suburbs right before this, or was it after this?
I don't recall
right?
a sequence in the suburbs.
Did you go to her mother's?
No, I stopped playing.
I feel like your opinion of this game is going to be a lot different next week, because you're just getting
better or worse.
For the better. I think you're just getting started with like character development. I mean, obviously you've not even met like Eris yet, really, and
they have introduced like a lot of new elements too. That like, before leading up to this, we were all wondering like, how the fuck are they gonna like stretch Midgar out? Like, how can you have any meaningful
the sequence you're about to do where you go to her house is one of the best examples of that, of like completely new content for a character that was super shallow in the original, and you're like, wow, this is not just good for a remake, but this is good in any JRPG. This is just like good moments for the characters to talk to each other. It
seems like, from what I've heard, they've fleshed out all of Avalanche, which was not like a huge deal in the first game.
Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge all play a pretty big role.
And they tie it much more into the story this time around.
Yeah, okay. I'm loving the characterization of pretty much all the characters. I'm still a little iffy on Barrett.
Barrett gets a lot better. He really does.
He does get better.
He's goofy.
But even then, he's goofy. But he's
a goofball,
slightly racist.
Sure, but he's not like he becomes more of a charismatic leader, and you understand why these characters follow him into battle. Once you further in the game.
I completely forgot about Marlene too, and like even characters like that are like so good.
It's the kind of thing where Barrett seems like a bit of a joke character now, but you would think that when you start to get hit to his like personal story, like in the next game or whatever, or 2 games from now, whenever the fuck they do that, he's gonna. I mean, the character's gonna grow on you. They're already growing on you, and you're still in Midgar, right?
Yeah.
So
here's the question. Now that we've played a good chunk of the game,
I still have some issues though with one thing. I feel like the combat is very high maintenance for like to do it like really well. You're constantly like not just controlling your character, but you're pulling up shortcuts and like pausing to like issue. Your AI companions are pretty shit unless you issue them commands.
We talked about that when we
Yeah.
played the demo.
Yeah.
So you can issue. How do you mean issue them commands? Like tell them to cast a spell or like attack someone?
Like
Or
they're not going
Like-
to use they're barely going to use their fucking spells at all unless you're using them for them, basically.
Okay,
Yeah, so
that's,
you
that's
swap-
what I
actually
figured. That's
physically
something
swap
we
to 'em.
talked about post.
You don't have to swap to them, but you can.
I mean,
Frustrated
you
by
can
it, was it
essentially
seemed
assign
like you have to.
hotkeys.
Yeah,
But you have to
but
babysit them though.
but like so many action RPGs, the characters themselves will just do shit, and it usually goes along with like a tactics menu, where like just light. Even Kingdom Hearts has that shit where you can tell Donald not to spend all his MP or Goofy to focus on fucking special moves or I don't know whatever the fuck. This game has none of that, and it makes it very high maintenance. Or you're gonna get
There are some things in there they do to alleviate that. Like, let me give you an example.
alleviate their band-aids through like interesting materia, but it's still like they feel useless when they're not in your hands, and when they're not.
Scarecrow brings up a good point. He says he doesn't feel like their meters, like their ATB meters, go up very fast unless you physically play as them.
Well,
That's
no,
correct.
it's
That's
because
true.
they don't do as many actions. And this to raise your ATB meter, you have to be physically like attacking someone or doing something to raise it.
Yeah.
But and that's what I brought this up when we played the demo. Is that every time I felt like I switched off of Barrett or I switched from Barrett to Cloud, by the time I went back to them, I had already raised my meter 2 or 3 times, and theirs hadn't even gone up once.
Yeah.
It's so bad that you're gonna have to. You're the best way to play it outside of actually switching your characters is to kind of build your materia setups around that. So your AI is not going to attack fast enough to build up ATB meter. They won't cast their fucking spells anyways. You have to do it for them. So like I put materia on them that, for example, lets them start a battle with their ATB meter already filled up to some degree. Also, there's a material called like a steadfast block or guard or whatever, which one thing that they're actually good at is hitting the guard button when they're getting attacked.
Yeah.
So there's a material called steadfast guard that when they're guarding, it'll fill up their
Meter
ATB
faster.
a little
Yeah.
bit. So
Okay.
I have both of those on like, or I have a couple of those to put on my companions because that actually helps them build up ATB a little bit faster, because otherwise,
So here's the question: once they build up their ATB, do they actually use any of those abilities or
no, you
spells?
got to use it for them.
No,
Yeah,
there's no that's not true. There is some things in there that they will auto use for it. For example, there's a material you can get called auto cure, to where anytime you get
literally
below
called auto cure.
anytime you're below 25% health, if they have a filled ATB meter, they will and you're not playing as that character with that material.
Yeah, because that's what
will do
it's
the auto
for. That's
cures.
literally what it's for.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty
But
sure you're
you
not
have
supposed to put that
equip
on Cloud.
You have to equip that materia though, and it's not a good heal compared to proper healing
Like,
materia.
It
That's
has
not a
saved
proper,
my
like-
life in so many battles, man.
Yeah,
It
but
is
it's not
so
like
good.
it's not like a proper, like that's not an adequate replacement for something like a Gambit system.
Yeah,
You know
and
what
it
I
doesn't
mean?
even have to be as deep as a
Yeah,
Gambit
I mean,
system. Like I
sure.
said, even like give me the most basic Kingdom Hearts functionality, and I'd be happy, right? Like,
But another thing I
It's
think
weird.
you have to realize about the combat system is that if you take a look at it, it actually really wants you to keep switching between characters constantly, because the AI
Sucks.
it seems to take notice when you stick as a character for a length of time, because then all the AI will start to focus on the player character. So if you've been playing as Cloud for a while, they're eventually going to start focusing on you. So you actively want to switch to your other characters and use
And
their
some
abilities.
characters, some enemies can like constrain you too, like can grab onto you. And,
Yeah, like bind
and
you
you
to the
actually
ground or attack you. Or
yeah, so
something.
you actually have to swap to another character to get them to like attack them, which
So
is neat.
Yeah,
I
it-
didn't
it's-
say that it's not like, I said it's high maintenance, which means it requires a lot out of the player to do it really well, especially in hard fights. But the result is like the system itself is still relatively shallow. Like what I'm saying, what you're doing is everything boils down to that ATB meter, and every single thing you do uses that ATB meter, right? So you're playing kung fu with your fucking controller to do the most to do the most basic things that are related to that single fucking meter, whether it's a spell, whether it's an item, whether it's an ability. No matter what those abilities or spells or items do, it's all about that ATB meter, which is, in some sense, it feels like it's missing a layer. I don't like, not everything should have been tied to that one resource. It makes it.
So here's a question, and I feel like this is we could start to kind of like shift gears and move on, but like as kind of so this is obviously part one of a bigger project. How is this series going to, like, when this next game comes out, whenever that is it going to have the same combat system?
Yeah,
or are
I'm
they
sure,
just
of course it will.
yeah, they're probably
But,
going to return
like,
the combat system.
But the question is, like, they're giving me all these materia right
Yeah,
now
they
that
do
like
give
are
you a
normally
lot,
spread out
yeah.
over an entire game. Like,
True.
I was surprised to see them, like, some of the summons that you get in this game
Yeah.
are some summons that you didn't get in the original until like late game,
Well,
which just
like
makes me
what?
like, I mean, like Bahamut is in here, like that. Like
Is it?
Bahamut
I
is
didn't know that.
I didn't see it.
What?
Like, what are you talking
Really?
about?
Maybe that's DLC or something.
Like, maybe you're thinking of Leviathan? Like, I played
No.
all
I
the
mean,
way-
even then, Leviathan is specifically tied. Isn't that tied to when you go to Wutai with Yuffie in the original game?
Yeah, it's the Leviathan in the fiction is the spiritual deity of Wutai.
Yeah, so that's a whole part of the game, and they're just bypassing that and giving
Do
it
you
to
get
you
Leviathan?
now in Midgar.
I mean, just because doesn't mean it has to be,
I'm
3
not
or 4
saying
games from now.
I'm not
to
saying
see
they
that
don't
stuff.
have a
Well,
plan.
Nick is making a point though. Like, I mean, a good point. Like this feels like a fully fleshed out game. Where are they going to go from here in terms
Yeah,
of
like
mechanics to make it feel fresh in the sequels?
I want to play the entire story of Final Fantasy VII, but I don't want to keep playing the same. Like, if they're going to cram all of the complexity and all of the like the candy, or like just the juicy parts of the fucking combat system in this one game, like, what are they going to save for the rest of them?
Hey,
they're
I'll
obviously
tell you
gonna-
this much: there's a lot of questions about those sequels that are far more concerning than just the combat system.
They're
me tell you.
You're right,
obviously
you're
going to
right. 'Cause who
improve
kno-
the AI. They're obviously going to improve like the way combat flows. I mean, give them time. Give them a
Are
chance.
there going to be random
well,
encounters on a world map?
We don't have
There's
any
a big
choice but to give them time.
We don't know what that
the question is, they made a decision to split this into multiple games. They turned this first game into this like huge standalone RPG, and then are expected to make 2 or 3 more of them to finish it off. And it's just like, but I'm thinking of like Final Fantasy 13 and how they did multiple games. Every single combat system in that series is totally different, even though you're playing as Lightning. Well, I guess you're not playing as Lightning in the second one, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all in the same series, but those combat systems are dramatically different from game to game.
Yeah.
So it makes me think like,
I'm sure they'll do something, but it really is the least of my concern, because am I going to be driving vehicles around the world? That's what I want to know.
I don't think so. Although
I mean, why not? You did in the first game and the original.
Yeah, but after
like
Final Fantasy 9, there's been no world exploration really.
Final Fantasy 15 had a car.
Well,
that is
that
true.
Car
that
eventually
was
starts
DLC.
flying. No, that was not DLC.
No, you're right. When off road was DLC.
Yeah, correct. Off road was DLC. But that's what I'm saying. I'm 99% sure Final Fantasy 15 open world is what we're going to get with this open world. It's
Hey,
gonna be
I'll
that
take
style.
it.
And yes, no, I agree. I think that was my favorite part of that game.
Yeah.
So
Was
here's
the open world and driving
the-
around
can-
in the car and stuff like
There's
that.
one other system, real quick before we move on, that I admire of this game, even though the execution is bizarre. It's the weapon upgrade system. That's not something you did in the original. Every weapon that you get, which there's not a ton, right? Because like you said, this is only Midgar, and you didn't get 40 swords in Midgar. I've gotten like 3 so far, but they're all viable because you get weapon skill points as you level up, right?
Yeah.
And each weapon has a different pool, and each weapon has like a skill tree basically, or not really a tree,
not
but
only
like
that, but
upgrades
like they have
that you
completely different
purchase.
focuses for some of them. Some of them are
Yeah, so
magic focused, some of them are more physical attack
Exactly.
focused.
Exactly. To the point where by the end of the game, all your weapons are viable depending on your build, and you can even be using the Buster Sword at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool idea, even though the actual like UI for upgrading your weapons is so like Final Fantasy 13 Crystarian. It's something
it does
where
remind me of that.
it wants to look more complex than it is. I mean, it's a neat idea, but like they could have accomplished it's the goal of what it's doing with way less pomp and like it's just you go into like a galaxy inside your weapon and it's so stupid. Some of their UI designers should be.
I'm surprised how much this game has reminded me of Final Fantasy 13, which is also why I'm so surprised that I'm seeing so much positivity around it.
13 sucks. That's the difference.
But like I know, but like this
7's
game
cool,
is
13's
structurally very similar to Final Fantasy 13.
But the problem
And
is
structure was one of the big problems with Final Fantasy 13 that everybody hated.
The big problem with 13 is that every time all the characters sucked and every time someone opened their mouth, it was bad. Like, I think the writing here is actually pretty good.
The writing is pretty good. They do really nice updates to existing characters, and they flesh out new characters that make you kind of invested in them.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm really, really enjoying it. I've officially I was kind of hesitant to get hyped about this game because of all this stuff and because I felt like it wasn't a complete thing. But like, I'm excited to play a lot of this weekend. So I think I've officially hit that point. I'm very much looking forward to getting.
I'm in Walmart now after 20 hours. Although I've been taking my time, but it's funny because you get to Walmart in a couple hours in the original.
And also, don't trust the in-game timer because that counts pauses.
Can I still? My one major like frustration though with this game is, as much as I'm enjoying it, which I am, is that everything is so slow.
It is.
Everything, the entire game outside of like combat feels like it's in mode.
This is Brad and the Red Dead Redemption 2 all over again.
God, yeah.
But the difference is
camp in Red Dead Redemption 2. But like, it's just so long to do anything. Even initiating a conversation, like I think there's some streaming issues, right? Like it feels like it's kind of loading the conversation, but it makes everything feel like
there's also a lot of forced walking.
A lot of forced slow walking, a lot of slow conversations that happen because of it.
But it gives you time to take in the world, which is fucking beautiful.
No, stop it. That's the lamest excuse. I'll forgive you saying it in like Red Dead Redemption or whatever.
As long as you can give me that. If you can give me that, if you can never give me shit about liking that shit in Red Dead Redemption 2 again, I'm totally cool. I'll shit all over right here.
You can only walk in camp because it's more immersive, dude. Like you know in this game when you like go in the direction they don't want you to, and it's like, no, we're going this way. It takes so long just to like
to reorient yourself to the correct direction.
And then he says a little thing, and it's like, fucking go.
Like I did not
going squeezing through something. Everything just. It's like you're watching a YouTube video at 50% speed. Just speed this shit up.
I'll be honest. I did not expect Cloud to come across I didn't expect once I saw Cloud like acted and voice acted, he would be a very likable character. But I like him.
And the thing is, he's not treated the way he is in every other Final Fantasy tangential related media, where he's just like this utter badass. Like people talk to him like he's kind of annoying, about how like cool and like to himself he is, and like I don't care about anyone. Most people are just like they're either like bouncing off of him or not reacting, or they're kind of almost making fun of him, especially when you get to like Eris, who's just fucking with you the whole time. And that's great, right? She's a great foil to Cloud, because Cloud sucks. I mean, he's fine, right? He goes places. That character,
I like Cloud because of his relationships with the people around him. I think
and that's so much better than other.
I completely agree. We will talk about this game again next week once more of us have played it and maybe finished it.
We're gonna need to have a serious discussion about the story.
Chris Davis really wants to have a spoiler cast for this, so maybe we'll make that happen.
Absolutely do. And once we get to once y'all finish that game, you will completely understand why, and you will be just as desperate as I to have this conversation.
Okay. In reference to what he's saying, one final word, because we haven't really addressed it at all, is there is new story stuff in this game, and we always knew it was going to be there, but I don't think we knew it was going to be this dramatic thing of like, not only did this not happen in the original, this completely changes the way you even see that story. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Think about like the Dementors and
but there's
stuff,
a fucking good reason for it, and you got to continue playing the game.
Okay, sure. Stop.
No, I'm not going to fucking stop. No.
What you're insinuating is lending weight to the stuff that we have no idea what it could even mean, you know?
Because you're only 20 hours into
I know.
it. You don't know
He's
what the
saying-
game is
what
talking
I'm
about.
saying
He's
is
saying you're
easy
getting
there.
dangerously close to spoiling something we don't
Yeah.
want spoiled.
I'm
Yeah.
not
So-
going to spoil anything for you. Absolutely not.
The thing
Famous
is,
I
last
would not
words,
do
famous
that to
last
you.
words.
the thing is, what we see could be related to like one small new side story, or it could be part of like the grand vision of this remake. And the way you or anyone else talks about it is suggesting one thing versus another, and I don't want to go there yet.
So
This game's not even been out for a week.
let's play it. Let's finish it, and then if we want to have a spoiler type conversation, we'll do that on a separate podcast. Let's move on. There's a couple other games we want to hit real quick since I didn't get a chance to talk about it last week. I would real quick like to talk about, because strangely enough, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to play right after finishing Doom Eternal, which I hated. Just kidding, I didn't hate that game. But like I needed a nice palate cleanser after finishing Doom, and I decided to play The Witcher 3: Blood and Wine, and that has kind of taken over my life for the past week. I played like 26 hours or more of that game, and I finished it because I had never really. I had played what is the other one called, like Heart of Stone or whatever it was,
Heart of
like way
Stone.
back in the day, and everybody always raved about Blood and Wine and said that I actually needed to play it. So I decided to do that. I've had it, I just never got to it. And obviously, we've all played The Witcher 3. I don't think there's any insight I can add into what makes The Witcher 3 so special or not special, whatever. But a lot of other games have come out since The Witcher 3. And going back and playing this after 4 years, I guess, since the original launch, was different and nice. That game, playing that game was like the main quest and the side quest. You can't even tell the difference. Like, it is every quest in that game. I had forgotten how incredibly detailed they are. How many amazing characters are in even like the smallest side quests in that series, in that game, and just like all the little things that like can like trickle and have bigger impacts on the world. Like, it's still so fucking good. I know, Brad, you've had, maybe Brad and Nolan have both had negative things to say about maybe the combat in
Not
The
just
Witcher 3.
combat.
It's not the worst in the world, but it definitely could be a lot better than it is.
Here, let me ask you this, Nick.
Mhm.
You played this for about 26 hours,
Yeah,
and the story, the characters, the writing, the
Still
what was
incredible.
happening in terms of the story and those side quests were great, right?
yes.
Let me ask you this: how many of those 26 hours were spent looking for glowy red footprints, or Witcher sense glowy red stuff with your Witcher senses?
I mean, there's a lot of that.
Because
I mean, that
every
like,
fucking side quest in the game is incredibly well written, but you're kind of doing the same shit in all of them. And
You're right.
that's one of my complaints with The Witcher.
You're right. That's fair. But like, even then, like, I would rather do 50 hours of that than 10 hours of the kinds of side quests I'm doing in Final Fantasy VII Remake right now.
Well,
I'm not.
the story.
I'm
The
not.
story for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I would take 50 hours of those kinds of side quests, because the stories that they're telling, the characters that you're meeting are so well done that I don't even like, that doesn't bother me very much. I'm gonna get tired of these kinds of like fetch quests in Final Fantasy VII real quick.
Well, there's not many of them.
That's good. That's the silver lining. I wouldn't want there to be many of them.
So I was listening to a podcast, and they actually said it's like 24 side quests in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice.
there's not
I've
a
already done
lot.
like 6. I've already done like 6 of them.
Yeah, there's not a lot.
That's
They
bananas.
feel long because everything in that game feels long, but
Yeah.
it's not actually that many.
So one thing I'll say, Blood and Wine, didn't realize some things that are pretty cool about that game. Like, they give you at the beginning, they give you like your own like vineyard.
Dude,
And
I
you're
love
like,
that place.
and
It's
you're
great.
like building it up and like adding, like renovating it the entire time, and the money that you pump into it like turns around and gives you like you can like invest in improving the garden, and all of a sudden you're growing herbs and stuff that you can use for alchemy. I used alchemy more in this DLC than I think I ever did in almost the entirety of the
Well, I
Witcher
think it's
3
just because they
proper.
gave you an easy way to access materials, and you have like your little like crafting whatever area and stuff. It's like almost like the fact that you kind of have like a home to go to, and that little hub area kind of is like you kind of, I won't say you settle down a little bit, but you kind of get into like a groove, like, oh well, maybe I will look at this, and you have like you can put the shit up on your wall or whatever and stuff like that.
You're collecting paintings and stuff and
Yeah.
shields, and like even the armor you're not using anymore, you can just place around your home, which is pretty cool.
Speaking of vineyards, though, I found it odd that you were playing the PS4 version of this game because the PC one has aged like a fine wine.
I know, but
The
I
PS4
didn't want to.
version ran like shit when it first came out. Probably,
But like
still.
I played 70 plus hours of The Witcher 3 on PS4. It doesn't bother me. And I own the complete edition. I own the game literally, so I wasn't about to turn around and buy Blood and Wine when I already have it sitting on my shelf, and I know I can play it and be fine. Like
Yeah,
the
but
PS4
I mean,
version
this
was
is one
fine.
of those things that you absolutely should own on PC, anyways, right?
And I probably will someday when it's like $2 and I can buy the buy it and just know that it's there. But like this game on PS4 runs fine, with the exception of it takes like a full second to load the menu every time you.
Dude, that
every
is
time you-
the nice thing about playing it on PC, is just the fact that it just loads so fast. It's
Yeah,
so
I think that is
nice.
by far the worst part about The Witcher. Still, is just that tiny pause when you hit like open a menu.
And there's so
It
many
still
good
sucks.
mods.
So many good mods, I'm sure, and I'll experience them someday. But yeah, The Witcher 3 is still fucking fantastic. It's still good. I love it. I can't wait to see what they do next with that series, since it looks like they're going to do more.
Saving it for a rainy day.
Yeah, I was
Myself.
I didn't. I was surprised you said you hadn't played it. That DLC is excellent. Also,
Specifically.
enormous.
Yeah,
Enormous.
it
Like
is really big.
I can't even believe like that's DLC. It's like a fourth of the full map of the original game or something.
But isn't it like $30 DLC though?
I've had to fight the urges.
No, so it was like $20 I think when it first came out.
I've had to fight the urge to play this. After the show came out, I started it up and I convinced myself, no, you're saving this. Don't waste it now.
It's probably a good idea. Hey, Crispy, you got a new character to talk about? You know what I'm talking?
New Overwatch hero. Hell yeah. On Tuesday, they finally released Echo. And I'm just now realizing that I forgot to tell Chris Davis to skip the first couple minutes of the footage.
He's
I
doing
gave him.
bad.
Oh, okay.
You die a lot.
No,
They kinda
actually,
tried to push it forward.
because the first few minutes of the footage is just me in roll queue waiting to find a match.
It's like 5 minutes of him just in a match queue. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and I
The
think
people
I
can
think,
wait.
I think my total wait time at the end was like 9 minutes, which is indicative of what happens when you queue damage only in Overwatch nowadays. Is you get a 10-minute queue time. That's interesting because Echo, the new hero, is a damage character, and that's actually a kind of a big controversial decision.
What do
in the
those words
Overwatch
mean,
community.
Crispy?
Damage character is a character who specializes in damaging the enemy.
Dealing direct
Characters
damage.
specialize in damaging.
There's tanks and supports and
Yeah, there's 3 categories. There's supports, which are like your healers.
Sure.
There's
And
DPS,
buffers.
which are your damages, and then there's tanks who make space and block for DPS and healers. That is after a I don't know if I talked about this before, but a while ago they actually reorganized the roster, and they eliminated an entire category. There used to be 4 categories, the 3 I mentioned, and then a defense. So it was offense, defense, tank, and support. They got rid of the defense category, and they took all of those heroes that were defensive, they tweaked them a little bit and just made them damage characters. So the thing is, now you have, before this week, you had a roster that was like 8 tanks, 7 support characters and 16 damage characters. And Hero 32, the last hero that is supposed to be added to Overwatch 1, comes out, and surprise, she's a damage character.
Wait, so is that
And
Echo that you're talking? Is Echo the last
Echo.
hero?
Yeah, Echo is Hero 32. She's the last hero that's going into Overwatch. All the new ones will be Overwatch 2. But Echo is a damage character, which first of all was very surprising for everyone to learn, because when they first introduced her in like one of the cinematics, everyone thought like, oh well, maybe she'll be a new support character, and that was exciting, because right now in the community it's people are really starved for new tanks and new support characters, because they're kind of being outnumbered by the damage characters. And because of that lopsidedness, the queues are all fucky. So like anytime you want to play just a damage character, it's like 10-minute wait. And then anytime you want to play a tank or support, you get in like 2 minutes. And they're always giving rewards for queuing damage or for queuing tank or support. So people were hoping that they would introduce more characters in the other categories to kind of balance everything out, and then the queues would be fine. There'd be a lot of fun tank characters to play, a lot of fun support characters to play instead of the same like 11 or whatever. And things would be okay. And then they come out and they're like, nope, new damage character, make it even worse. Which
That's a strange move, considering I'm sure they're aware of this problem.
it is, and people felt even stronger about it, because everyone had the impression when they first introduced this character that she was going to be a support. Just, I guess, because of how she looks,
Racist.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. They're like, oh, a sleek lady robot who looks like an iPhone.
She looks like an iPhone.
She should be a support character. But Jeff Kaplan and the Overwatch team were like, no, we had a very clear vision for this character from day one. Blah,
Does
blah,
look
blah.
like an iPhone.
All right, well, what does she do? What's her gimmick?
But okay,
She's got wings.
All the controversy out of the way. They put her in the game. She's a damage character, and you know what? She's fucking crazy. She's really fun to play. I kind of started like getting into a groove with her here. Her whole thing is she's extremely mobile. She is the most like overtly mobile character in the game now. She can just fly. She has a 6-second cooldown where she just flies, and anywhere you point, you can just like soar over there. And it's more she's more mobile than like Farah or Farah or Mercy, who are two other flying characters. She also has this her like main weapon is a tri-shot. It's a thing where she's just like shooting lasers out of her fingers right there.
Finger guns.
Yeah, finger guns. It's literally just beep, 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 finger guns. In a triangular spread, which is a really nice focus, like poke damage. Her alt fire is a set of sticky bombs, which will stick to surfaces and characters, and then they have like a 2-second fuse or something, and then they blow up. And it's really fun to like stick a character, watch him like turn around a corner to get away from you, and then get the notification that they blew up and died. That's really fun.
What's her ultimate?
She has one more cooldown before we get to the ultimate. So her last cooldown is called Focusing Beam, and it is a directed energy beam that does more damage when the hero that it's attacking has less than half of their total health. So like the cycle with her is very like, primary, secondary, primary fire, and then once you've done some damage, finish them off with the Focusing Beam, and that Focusing Beam cuts through people. I get a couple like double kills in this footage, I think. And I get a really embarrassing fall coming up, so when that happens, be sure to laugh.
I'm ready for it.
What's going on?
Her ultimate, Chris Davis, you ask, is another interesting addition to the game. It's really fucking weird. It is called Duplicate, and basically she can pick any member of the enemy team and she just becomes them. She just becomes another version of them.
So she's the spy?
Yeah, kind of. But not like you can definitely tell that she is an Echo imitating. Like you become a glowing
that's
blue
why
version.
this is called Echo.
Yeah. Yeah, she is a multi. What do they call
Oh,
her?
you're
I
doing
don't
it
know.
here.
Yeah. So you just turn into another character and you get their full kit, and you also generate their ult very, very quickly. So like, for example, with a tracer, I think. Oh yeah, that's it. That's where I fall.
So stupid.
I was doing good, and then I died.
Who's
I
that? You like turned into like a witch or something? Is that another
Yeah,
new
yeah,
character?
Moira. Yeah, Moira. She's a
Uh,
support character. She's awesome. I love Moira. And she's like a witch. She's like a fucking wizard. She heals and sucks the life out. Anyway, shut up. Anyway, yeah, so the duplicate ability is really fucking cool because it's basically an easy way to get like free ults of like characters that you didn't pick, or to use the other team's ults against them. And it also gives you momentary. It also gives you. Oh, hang on. I'm sorry. I want you guys to watch this play of the game because I was pissed that this guy got play of the game, and then I watched it and was like, nope, he deserved that. So he hooks and
Whoa!
that was fucking cool.
That was
I love it.
crazy.
He just smashed these guys.
That was like the equivalent of like the Call of Duty videos where they like throw the knife across the map and just randomly hit some dude. That was nice.
People who are good with Wrecking Ball are fucking weird. That character's weird. I love it. But you get these weird interactions with Echo's ult where everything is very strictly balanced now. They have 2-2-2 role queues, so every team has 2 tanks, 2 DPS, 2 support, right? With Echo, you can essentially give yourself 3 tanks for for a minute or so. So like you can have 2 Reinhardts, like your Reinhardt, your Echo Reinhardt fighting an enemy Reinhardt, which is like really fucking weird and crazy. Plus, that Reinhardt is getting his ult charge super fast, so you're gonna get more Earth Shatters, which is also like a big deal. And I think
good skins.
Yeah, this is only the first week she's been out, so people are still like experimenting with her and trying to figure out like where she fits in the meta. One thing I've noticed right away with her is that team fights seem to be a lot more chaotic and kind of pop off quicker. Like there's not as much deadlock of like teams fighting over the same position for a long time. Like usually an Echo will just come in and get some picks and shake things up pretty easily, which is cool. Which is
How much
really
real
cool.
world money are people going to spend to get that butterfly?
Oh, you get okay. So ever since they started, they will give you like 25 coins pretty much like any time you queue up for a support or a tank role. So you get coins super quickly. So that butterfly skin is only 1,000 coins. I can earn 1,000 coins in a day now, which is really nice.
That's 40 matches.
You
right?
don't have to earn 1,000 coins in a day, though, Crispy.
I
You
know.
could just give them like $5.
I know.
Be done with it.
Yeah, what? 40 matches? 4
How
matches
much
times
Final
10?
Fantasy VII could you play with 1,000 coins
With 1,000 coins
of time?
I don't know. Probably like, let's see, it's 40 matches at 5 minutes a match. Let's see.
Plus the queue up times, right?
Yeah, plus the queue up times. So
He's actually doing the math. Look at that.
And don't forget the post game, like
like
scoreboard
3 or
thing.
4 hours, right?
You could do 40 matches in 3 or 4 hours. No way.
No, it's like a
That
5-minute
doesn't sound
match.
right, no.
200 minutes, right?
Okay.
200 minutes would be like just under 4 hours.
So she's cool.
So anyway, yeah, that's Echo. She's really cool.
So this is it for Overwatch. Like now it's just Overwatch 2.
Well,
Overwatch
there's supposedly a new map coming out at some point this year. But
Is that exciting?
yeah, as far as new heroes go, yes, we're just waiting for Overwatch 2, which, as Brad pointed out, also will contain Overwatch 1.
So
and
have
all
they
the
really talked about like what they're gonna do, like with the transition, like what's gonna happen to Overwatch 1 if people...
That's a comment. It's all the same game. Chris Davis.
So Overwatch 1 is only PvP. Overwatch 2 has a PvP and a PvE segment, and the PvP sections are going to be synced. So they're gonna have all the same maps, same characters, same game modes.
So people who still are
So
playing
Overwatch
Overwatch
2
1.
Overwatch 2 is mostly the cooperative mode that they're adding. That's like Left 4 Dead, and then Overwatch 1 is going to be attached to it as the multiplayer.
Yeah.
So if people are still playing Overwatch 1, they could
Yeah,
be playing
if you're
with
only
people-
interested in playing PvP, you can keep Overwatch 1 and they'll keep
Overwatch 1 will turn into the multiplayer mode
right
of Overwatch 2.
for Overwatch
That's
2.
not confusing at all.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll wait and see what happens with Overwatch 2, which when is that supposed to be this year? I don't even know.
Probably.
What
They have not said.
I guess it's not
There's a lot of
surprising. It is
speculation
Blizzard.
that it might be. It might have been one of those situations where like they were trying to get it out by the end of the year, and now
It's all up in the air like
You
everything
know.
else.
yeah, now it's all up in the air like everything else. Who knows? Maybe in December they'll still do BlizzCon, and we'll figure it out.
We shall see. All right. Do we want to take a break before we do the last game?
What's the
Or
last
do you-
game?
Disaster. I'm assuming you
No,
want to talk
there's
about
two
Disaster
games.
Report.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
and there's Animal
Fuck
Crossing.
yourself, Nick.
I'm just a host, guys.
All right.
I'm
well,
just a host.
I
can
mean,
let's
we
take
can
a-
get,
Disaster
we can get
Report real
Animal
quick.
Crossing out of the way because Nolan's just going to talk about eggs. Just bitch about eggs for 10 minutes.
Eggs?
I
No,
don't
I'm
want
sure-
to do
no, the
Animal Crossing in this segment.
The first
Okay, I'll do
week, the
Disaster
first
Report.
time he talked about it was peaches that angered him, right? It was peaches,
What?
and then it became eggs.
Last week would have been
I'm assuming
eggs.
it's something new this time. All right. Well,
Turn
do you want to?
Animal Crossing. Oh.
Yeah, sorry, we're talking about Animal Crossing. Brad, do you want to just
Why not?
do you want to talk Disaster Report 4 real quick, and then we'll cut to break and then do Animal Crossing when we get back?
Sure. Let's go.
All right, do it.
I'll rattle it off real quick.
Hit us with the sweet. How is Nick Henderson holding up?
Oh, Nick Henderson, you say? Nick Henderson. So, Disaster Report 4. This is the fourth game in the series. We never got the third one, but we got the first two. They were called Disaster Report and Raw Danger. Those first two games were a lot of fun. This one, all these years later, it feels like a PS. This, honestly, I think this game feels worse than like Raw Danger, like Disaster Report 2. So I'm having sort of a mixed time with it. It feels different in a lot of ways. And it feels, you need to pee, by the way, Nick Henderson. You need to pee.
In this footage, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he was just holding
Okay.
his crotch because he.
I
needs
thought
to
you were
pee real
telling me
bad.
specifically that I need to pee. I was like, I think I'm fine, Brad, but I appreciate your.
I'm trying to find out what happens if you don't use a toilet.
You collapse.
Okay, maybe. Okay,
I don't know.
I'm sure
So-
most people in our community, or at least who watch our streams, are very familiar with what Disaster Report 4 is, or what Disaster Report is. But like, what is it exactly
those
for
who
those who are not in the know?
So it's a game where you play as a character where that experiences like a natural disaster in like a city. And the first game was earthquakes, the second game was massive floods, and this one is earthquakes. And you go around and you meet people and you do stuff to help people as you progress. Again, this one's a little different. I guess the last game was a lot more survivally, right? Like you were trying to stay dry and you could get cold and you'd have to use items to like stay warm or find fires to stay warm, and you were carrying people around and shit. And
But that was like 15 years ago.
yeah. This one, you don't really do that as much. You mostly just talk to people. I mean, you do stuff, but it's just not as good. Okay, here's the strength of this game, of this disaster survival game, is that there's a lot of choices you make, and there's a lot. Every conversation you get into, like, has like 12 choices. It's absurd. There's like 12 choices, and some of them are absurd. I feel like there was always in the previous games absurd things you can do and say. You could say especially, but they really leaned into it, and they introduced like a morality system. So before you could do like something that would make you like kind of a dick, but now you can like role play a complete dick and get negative morality because of it. And of course that's what I'm doing, because that's what Nick Henderson does. I mean, he took the chef's cap, right, as he was dangling for his life. So
I do
This-
recall, yes.
in this game, I'm playing like an asshole. Let me give you an example. In the first area or the second area, you go into a convenience store, and all these people were lined up to buy like bottles of water because they really wanted water because they're panic buying water, right? But there was no clerk.
Seems
Everyone was
relevant.
just the buildings are literally falling down all around them, and by the way, they can kill you instantly if they fall on you. That's a
Like real
staple of
life.
the staple of the Disaster Report series is that like buildings will fall on you in real time, and it looks cool. Um, so they're all lined up to like buy their waters, even though there's no clerk. They're I don't know, they're polite. This game takes place in Japan. I don't fucking know, but there's no clerk. The world's ending, but they're all lined up, and you could go in there like, well, you could find like a uniform, and you can become the clerk and start selling them bottles of water. But you have the option of every time you could like
Oh
upcharge
no.
them. You could put, instead of putting the money in the register, you could put it in your pocket and get negative morality.
I'm guessing you did both of those things.
Yeah. Because I'm an asshole, right? I'm Nick Henderson. Nick
Right.
Henderson's an asshole.
Mm,
I'm role playing
definitely.
myself through you. Um,
I share nothing in common with this character except
yeah,
for a
right.
name.
Yeah, right.
Except for
Nick.
99% of your name.
Yeah, 99%
There's
of my
some
name.
there's some really like bad, and then the dude who's he's the actual clerk is taking a shit, right? And you have to like go get toilet paper and stuff for him, but you had to clear out all the customers first, and then he comes out and he's like, oh, I'm gonna sell this bottle of water for $3,000 or whatever because y'all want the water, and you realize he's a bigger dick than you, even though you were pocketing the money. And then the actual dude comes in, who owns the convenience store. He's like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, I don't actually work here, bitch. And he like, just runs off or whatever. It's a weird game with weird interactions and even stranger dialogue choices. I swear to God, some of the dialogue choices are strange. You help like a teacher who's trying to, take care of their 3 students during this disaster, and one of them's a bully, and one of them is a girl that like cries all the time, and one of them is just stupid. And the dialogue choices, you can like hit on them and stuff.
What the shit?
You could bully the crying girl. I mean, it's just horrible stuff, right?
Wow.
There's a sequence in this game where like you and this lady that you've been hanging out with for a while get kidnapped by like some bad people, and they tie you up, and they're going to literally do bad things to you, like bad things. And you could be like, you know what, just fucking take her, I'm out of here. And you get like negative 1,000 morality, and
But
it's
it doesn't
fine.
matter.
Well, yeah, the story goes on. She's still hanging out with me, but she didn't like me for a while.
This is a weird
Randomly-
fucking game, Brad.
Randomly, this game will just turn into like a music video where like you start seeing like cutscenes of like the people suffering and the natural disaster while a woman is like singing, and I don't know what's going on. It's weird, strange. It's a bad game that is exciting for being strange.
Is this like is Disaster
thing is,
Report
the
kind
older
of like
ones-
Deadly Premonition?
No, well,
No,
Mhm.
no.
I mean, it's got similar strengths and weaknesses, I guess, but it's less of a game than Deadly Premonition, I guess. But it doesn't have bad combat because there's no combat. I'll say this: Disaster Report 1 and 2 back on the PS2, those are like hidden gems. Those are legitimately cool, fun games. I mean, they feel unique. You never played anything like those games, and there's some cool ideas in there. Not amazing games, but like you never played anything like them. This game just kind of seems like more of just a bad game. Like I'm like, this thing's $60, even on PC. I'm not going to recommend anyone go spend that
Wow.
kind of money on it because they're not very long, and this one's just kind of bad. But you know what? This is a good game to watch somebody stream, or maybe
Like
to like
you,
rent
which-
or something on GameFly, because it's like absurd. Look at this outfit you're wearing, Nick
You
Henderson.
didn't choose that outfit?
No, I did.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah, there's all kinds of outfits.
Just for a second, I thought that was like the default character outfit, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, there's a portion of this game where you're riding around in a boat going to all these like flooded apartment buildings, and it's so long and tedious. I tried to capture footage of this game, but it was just me like walking back and forth between like balcony to balcony like very slowly, and I'm like, this cannot be the footage. Although even here it's like mostly me just running around figuring out what to do. The biggest problem with this game is that you're running around these environments looking for like story triggers for like characters that will progress the story, but you don't know where they are, and they have an order, right? So like you can once you trigger like the story and the next progression, you can go back to a place you've already explored or you've already been in that environment to try to find the next trigger. It feels like you're playing like a really old fucking JRPG or something where you're like, okay, I just don't know where to go. I don't know who I talk to. Where it's like, I've already been near this woman and it didn't trigger the little cutscene, but now it does. Does that make any sense? It's incredibly frustrating. And like, I'm going to be playing this on my stream tomorrow night because I guess people enjoy watching the insanity of this game. But
Sounds about right.
I refuse to play this game without Malia sitting there with a walkthrough next to me.
Oh, wow.
Because I would spend a lot of time just running around going, oh, where's the next trigger point? My God. You know, it's just it has the
that was like
of a disaster report, but not like the fun mechanics.
You just got in this little rowboat, and that was like a whole page full of controls just popped up on the side of the screen. What the shit?
It's absurd.
Anyways,
you're not going to see this part where it's like I get into like this crawl space, right? And it goes into like, you know, like a crawl space view. And I'm like, well, what happens if I put on a dress? Which, you know, you could just put on a dress, right? And it's just straight up panties and balls and everything.
wait a second. Wait, really?
It's like, oh wow. I thought you just wouldn't be able to see up the dress, but no. Yeah, you could play as a lady, but I'm not playing as a lady because I'm Nick Henderson, right? I wonder if I do it like literally right here. At some point, I get this idea of like, what happens if I put this dress on? This thing.
Please tell me you got it in the footage.
All the complaints about it's in here. All the complaints I have about Final Fantasy VII about it being so slow and taking so long to do everything, like it makes that feel like a fucking like Platinum Games level speed. It's just everything is so. I don't
really
think I do
this one.
I think I have to get back in the boat and I go over to this other. So if you wait like 60 seconds, you'll see it.
I would just say.
Do you have any questions about Disaster Report?
I'm
going the wrong way. This can boat control so terribly,
dude. This game.
There's like little trees in the water that when you bump into them, you lose air in the boat because it's like poking holes in the boat, and it's like that's not even a fucking mechanic. But like in the older games, it kind of would have been a mechanic. You know, those older games were janky, but like their heart was in the right place. Here, they just have no idea what the fuck they're doing, and I don't know if it's because this game's supposed to come out in 2011 or something, and now it's 2020 and it's coming out. But
wait,
this game was originally supposed to come out for the PS3, but it got canceled when the earthquake hit Japan because it's a game about earthquakes.
Yeah, Fukushima.
And now, 9 years later, it's coming out, and there's another global pandemic happening, and it just here's where I do it. I'm like, Nick Henderson has a nice ass. Oh, by the way, I'm getting this teddy bear which says, "Oh, it fits in my backpack. It's very squishy." It's absurd. Oh yeah, here we go. Y'all here for the action?
Show us the goods.
Look at all these outfits I have. There's so many outfits. These were like free DLC.
Oh God.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I was like, you know, like in Nier Automata, she swipes the camera away. It's all like elegant or whatever. Here, it's just like, fuck it.
You can really see kind of like the bulge in the back of the. That's
somebody
lewd,
paid to make that model and animate it.
Yep.
Dude, you've seen Conan.
Well, there's a lady. Yeah, you've seen Conan.
That's right.
Dick and balls. And there's a slider.
It has a dick slider.
Isn't it Conan?
Never forget.
Conan or Conan?
Conan.
Okay, you said
Conan.
I think I might be wrong, but I think they patched part of that out after that came out.
That'd be a damn shame.
The penis slider.
No, they did not.
They did not?
I'm pretty sure.
Crispy's like, I checked yesterday.
No, I've played that game within the last like 2 months. They did
really.
Crispy checks every day.
I check every day.
Next week, bring footage
Keep an
of
updated
Conan.
list of games with dick sliders.
Bring us footage next week of Conan so we can see the updated dick slider.
Just flopping dicks and
Yes.
boobies and
Precisely.
Blackened balls.
So
All
that's
right.
Disaster Report 4. It's bad, but it's
It's a
kind of
glowing
fun
endorsement.
if you have a walkthrough and you're streaming. But the old games are legitimately like cool, quirky games, so I recommend playing those.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's take a quick break and when we come back. We'll talk about Animal Crossing. There's not really a lot of news to discuss this week, so we'll probably just jump straight into community and do questions and supporter spotlight and all that stuff. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a second. Oh man, welcome back everybody. Nolan, what is it now? Peaches? Eggs? Strawberries?
You okay there, Nolan?
Turnips.
Turnips.
No, yeah, well, yeah, no, yes and no, yeah, turnips because fuck Lao, but yeah,
Fuck those charts you linked. That chart screwed us.
wait, really? Wow.
That's just, and made it seem like Thursday PM. Like if you don't sell by Thursday PM, don't even. You're
It
in
depends.
trouble.
No, but it changes every. So what Brad is referring to is stocks, STALKS.
We are talking
every
about Animal
Sunday-
Crossing now, by the way.
Yes, Animal
Sorry.
Crossing New Horizons. Every Sunday, if y'all are watching the footage, y'all can see my solid snake.
I am
villager.
watching.
You're on an island to surpass outer heaven.
Yes. My
good.
island's name is Shadow Moses. My flag is the fox logo, and then anytime you talk to somebody, my island's tune is do 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 do. So it's
Nice.
fucking amazing. But anyway,
Did you have to like create all those things or like manually? That's pretty
Yep.
cool.
when you talk to Isabel, who she runs a portion of the island, she'll let you redesign the flag and also a tune, and the tune can be so long, and you have just some sliders with the notes on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, Brad was referring to the stock market. Every Sunday, Daisy May, who's a little pig, visits your island, and she will sell you turnips. Throughout the rest of the week, Sunday not included, when you go to visit Timmy and Tommy at Nook's Cranny, they will buy turnips for a varying price. It changes at noon every day, and at 5 a.m. or something like that. I guess technically Nook's Cranny closes at 10. So from the time they open at 8 until noon, it's a certain price, and then from noon to 10, it's a different price. But it varies every day, and every person's island has different variables. Some people have kind of figured out how the system works, and there's a couple of apps out there where you start inputting your prices, and they'll kind of calculate, hey, this is where we think the stock market's going to go. It's not 100% accurate, but it'll give you a range that's pretty close to what it's actually going to be. So, Brad, if you are entering the numbers correctly, it's pretty accurate. It's within, I don't know, 20, 30 bells. So my peak was actually this morning at 196 bells.
For sure.
Yes, it went to 184 tonight, and I'm fairly certain tomorrow it's going to be around there, but I don't think it's going to be as high. And so, like Bernadette, she's in chat right now, and she's talking about it because I am playing this with her. The graphics we posted originally, that was like kind of just like, hey, it's gonna follow one of these suits. So it's either going to decline the entire week, which is like the worst fucking scenario you can be in. It's going to be random, where it just kind of bounces up and down to random amounts. It's going to have either a small spike or a large spikes, and the spikes tend to happen Wednesday through like Friday, Wednesday evening through Friday morning. Somewhere in there will be a spike where it is the highest it's going to be. And people go fucking insane for this. There's like websites devoted to.
It sounds like you need to have like a deep understanding of like actual like economics, like real world economics.
Not necessarily. And this is also just a part of the game you don't even have to do. You don't have to do this. It's good to do it just because it's a way to make money. because the housing upgrades start getting pretty fucking expensive. Like my current loan on my house is 1.2 million bells.
Jesus.
Yeah, and that fish I just
fucking
caught sells
mansion?
for 10,000. So I mean, it's a while to get there. So the stock market is a way to earn money. There are other ways to earn money. The biggest other way people are doing is tarantulas,
Have you
All
found
you
your
need to
tarantula?
know-
Island?
scorpions if you're in the southern hemisphere. Yes, I have found a
Oh
tarantula
wait,
island.
didn't you were talking about you found a way to like force it into?
So there's okay, yeah, okay. Welcome to April. So there's two different things here. So yes, you can find a natural tarantula island. There's a bunch of different islands that are in this game when you travel. You can find a big fish island where all the fish on the island are like just the large versions. You never find small fish, only big fish. You can find islands that are all about fruit. You can find islands that are just have a bunch of money rocks on them. So when you hit them, you get money out of them. You can find islands that are devoted to special flowers. And then one of the islands you can find is a tarantula island or scorpion island if you're in the southern hemisphere.
Sounds awful.
Who the fuck
What
is
you're referring
CJ?
to? What about CJ?
Who is that?
So he shows up on your island usually once a week. He specializes in fishing. He has a website where he wants to show off fish. So whenever you talk to him, he'll ask you to do a challenge. Once you complete that challenge, he buys fish at 1.5 times normal price.
I feel like I don't know. I've never seen Malia talk about him. I've never met him.
Well, so you got to find him. This is actually the first time he's been like in a proper part of my island. All the two or three other times he's visited, he's been like off in the fucking middle of nowhere on my island. And now in this footage, I'm just gonna run around the museum for a little bit and show off some of the stuff I've got. But anyway, one of the islands is a tarantula island, and the whole point of that is when you get there, just shit tons of tarantulas spawn. Tarantula will sell for 8,000 bells, which is pretty good. And then Flick, who is a bug enthusiast and visits your island once a week, will buy.
I've never met Flick either.
Will buy bugs for 1.5 times price, which means a tarantula now sells for 12,000 bells. So if you leave a tarantula island with your max inventory, which would be 39 slots, one for your net, you can make like 468,000 bells. Pretty profitable. So what you were talking about, Nick, was force spawning a tarantula island.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really the right way to think about it. The way you think about it is you can limit the number of things that can spawn. So when you're on any given island, there will be flowers, there will be rocks, there will be trees. There are things that spawn bugs. Rocks can spawn like centipedes and millipedes, and if it's raining, they can spawn snails. So if you destroy rocks, if you destroy rocks, none of those three things can spawn. Trees can spawn spiders, bagworms, atlas moths, stuff like that. You take out all the trees, those things can't spawn. Well, now you have tree stumps, and some bugs can spawn on tree stumps. So you take out tree stumps, well, now those bugs can't spawn. So all of a sudden, you've eliminated all of these different types of bugs that can spawn, and you're down to fewer bugs.
And the island doesn't grow that stuff back. It just
correct.
So you would remove all that stuff, leave, and then come back, and you'd have a tarantula.
You don't leave. You don't leave. You have to stay there.
Oh.
And because if you can't ever go back to these islands, these aren't your islands. These are like special islands you can go to.
Gotcha.
If you leave, you can't get back to them. But the whole point is now you've limited the number of bug types that can spawn, so it's more likely that you will encounter a tarantula.
Makes sense.
Then we have April. April gave like a big fuck you to anybody who likes to do this, because the problem with April is they introduced 2 new bug types.
Are you about like the month of April? Isn't like the
correct? Every month,
the season
bugs come and go, and
gotcha.
and fish come and go. Because it's like not necessarily a new season, but it's a new kind of time. So they introduced water bugs, which are like big, kind of like roaches that spawn in the water that they never used to spawn before. And they introduced mole crickets, and mole crickets are like the fucking worst thing in the world, because the problem with mole crickets is they spawn underground. You have to dig them up to find them. So these 2 things made it very fucking hard to spawn tarantulas, to turn an island into a tarantula island, or one where tarantulas spawn. So now you can still do it. It just takes a lot longer. But yeah, so I don't think we've ever did we talk about Bunny Day, Brad? at all?
Yeah, we did. I mean, I did last week. Or I mean,
Okay. Well, so
we-
I will briefly bring it up. But Bunny Day was an event where I do remember us bringing it up. But the thing was, it got old real quick.
yeah.
Because of just how it was 12 days of these fucking eggs everywhere. And by I was kind of okay with it the first few days, but by like the 8th day, it just got super frustrating because anytime I think I would be digging up an fossil, it's oh nope, it turns out it's an egg. Or anytime I hear a balloon and I think I'm gonna get like a new recipe or some money or some shit, nope, it's an egg. But finally, all of that is over and we're back to normal. But so one of the things I wanted to talk about, and is Brad was kind of surprised by this, was KK has not visited my island. And that's not going to mean a lot to everybody, but for those who have played the game, it means something. So you can get KK Slider to come to your island once it's rated at least.
Oh, right. KK Slider.
Yeah, I believe 3 stars you need.
Mhm.
I actually didn't get 3 stars until today. I don't know. When did you get 3 stars, Brad? Like days and days ago, right?
Last week sometime.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I guess I did not realize at first everything you needed to focus on to get KK to come. I knew you had to make your island better, but I didn't realize, oh, you actually have to have X number of residents on your island. And so when I learned that, I was like, oh, well, you have to essentially sell a plot of land. It's like real estate. You go to Tom Nook, you say, hey, I want like a permit to make this land like a residential
You're
house.
such a dork moving the mower.
I'm mowing the lawn.
You would.
But yeah, so
Look at
I
your
finally,
fucking-
and the reason I hadn't been focusing on that was because I was trying to earn a little more money, because I wanted to move all of my residents' house. I didn't realize kind of early on when I first started this game, because I'd never really played an Animal Crossing game before, what I wanted my island to eventually become. So I had kind of put the current residents on my island. Their houses were in these random fucking places strewn about. And now that I'm kind of farther along, I realize, oh, I kind of want to build like a residential area. Like here's where all the people live, and then I want maybe like a shopping area, and then I
A
want like, the
neighborhood,
campsite.
if you will.
Exactly. So, well, now all of a sudden to move a resident's house, that's 50,000 bells.
Ooh.
That's not a small chunk of change. I mean, one strewn at a Tarantula Island, you can move 8 houses, but
It's a
whatever.
lot.
It is.
All
It's
I
a
do is
decent
log
amount.
on and buy some clothes and log off.
So now I actually have started, and you might have seen earlier in the footage me running through the left side of my island. That's now where I say Bernadette is playing along with me too. She has a villager on her island, and we often will play together, which is nice that you can do it at the same time. But we're now building out that residential area, and now we have enough. So KK, I guess, will come like tomorrow, maybe. And the big deal with KK coming is apparently, I don't know all the details because it hasn't happened for me. It unlocks a new part of the game which allows you to do like terraforming, so you can like manipulate the world, so you can turn like cliffs into flat areas or create like waterways and stuff like that. And that'll just open up a whole new section of the game.
And you've been playing this for a while, and you just don't have access. You straight up don't have access to that stuff yet.
It's mainly because I wasn't doing the things I needed to do to advance the game. And that's just, I didn't realize it at first. I mean, there's like Brad and I were talking before the show that there's different ways you can progress in the game. Like my house is bigger than Brad's. I mean, that only means so little because I don't have a whole lot to fill it up with yet. Like I just have like random crap in my house. Like I see other people's houses online. I visit other people's islands and they're so elegant, and mine's like a piece of shit. Eventually mine will be nice, but it just kind of takes a while to find the things you want and stuff like that, and to make things look nice. And they're like,
but that's the draw. Like that's the hook. That's the carrot, right?
well,
That's
no,
what
it is, but that's also like stemmed and created this like there's literally like an Amazon for Animal Crossing. Like you can go online and you can send someone bells and they'll send you an item like in the mail in the game, because in the game you can send stuff to other players, so you can like send them like an item and stuff like that. There's this whole fucking like economy that has been built in the real world internet for New Horizons.
Have you heard what people have done for like turnip prices, right?
Yes,
Where
dude,
they
there are
built, like,
these there are these crazy sites where you can go. So if someone has like a high turnip sell price, there'll be sites that are like devoted to, you can go on there and you can fucking enter some information, and then an automated system will send you a code to invite you to their island. And like people's islands have like, they build fucking pathways to like their nooks cranny so you don't steal their shit. And you go in there and they're like fucking, I've seen pictures of people have bouncers and shit to prevent you from going certain areas, and they'll take your money and stuff.
Well, yeah, like some people were like, "Well, you could sell your turnips here, but I want this and this and this," and they'll literally put fences, and they'll sit on a stump, and you can't go through until you drop what they want,
like a
and
guard
then
tower.
they'll move, and you have to sell.
Yes, it's pretty insane what people are
people
doing.
like scamming each other like this?
Like Diablo 2
surely
style?
they
I wouldn't
are.
say I wouldn't say scamming. There's not really a way to scam someone necessarily. I mean, I guess you could say I have a high sell price, and then you don't. But I mean, I think most people generally like post like a photo of like their island or something like that.
Is that what Lao Kung Pao in chat just
turnip
posted?
exchange? I've heard
But
of that.
If you didn't build this like elaborate setup to facilitate that kind of commerce on your island, could strangers just like start taking your shit?
No.
If you invite them to your island, if you're not best friends with them, they can interact with some things. Any item you have placed on the ground, they can take. But if you set it, there's like two different things you can do. You can drop an item or you can place an item. I don't think you can interact with placed items. That's almost like you're making like a decorative piece. But if you drop it on the ground, they can take it.
Interesting.
And yeah, or they can like trample on flowers and shit like that. I don't know what else. I haven't really. Yeah, I know I haven't done too much. But yeah, so I mean, there's lots of shit you can do in this game. The other thing is there's just so much I don't even know yet. I've only so far in the game, like Brad and I were talking about, there's seasons and shit. So there's dozens and dozens of like fish and bugs I haven't interacted with. And Brad, did you participate in the fucking fishing tournament on Sunday?
Malia did.
See,
yeah, so Sunday,
this kind of conversation fascinating. Did you participate in the fishing tournament on Sunday? Like that?
So CJ hosted a fishing tournament on Sunday where your goal was to catch X number of fish in X number of time. And if you do, he gives you like points, and you can turn in those points for special items like trophies and stuff like that.
Oh, you got gold.
Huh?
You got a gold.
Yeah, I did get a gold. I think I've heard there's gold like items in the game, but I guess I don't have the recipes for them yet. And I didn't realize at first that gold was important, so I think I probably threw away a couple. But ever since I realized that, I've been keeping them. But I'm only at like 13 gold nuggets. Like they're extremely rare.
Oh,
and as soon as
that tree has little butts on it.
Like a goldfish. It requires 3 gold, but it sells for like 60,000.
Wait, what sells for 60,000?
She's got a recipe. She got it randomly. I don't know to make a goldfish. And it requires 3 gold, but it sells for like 60,000.
Jesus, that's pretty interesting.
Damn.
But yeah, so there's a lot of shit to this game. There's a lot of depth to it.
I feel like since I've last played an Animal Crossing game, I've developed this like addictive personality when it comes to like survival games, and I'm watching footage of this and I'm like, I don't think I should play this, but I kind of want to.
No,
I feel like
this game is definitely not a survival game in any sense.
I know, but it looks like the kind of game. It looks like the kind of game you can just like be like, I'll just do this. Like, I should go to bed, but I'll just do this, this, and this, and then you like do those things, and it's like, then I can just also do this.
As something like Stardew Valley. This is more just like a nice chill time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think one of the reasons behind that is kind of what we talked about in weeks past, is you can't just go to sleep to progress the game. A lot of what this game does is locked behind physical time.
And I feel like that's the appeal. I mean, that's really cool. Like knowing that playing today may be like a totally different kind of experience than maybe playing tomorrow because there's some event going on tomorrow. Or
and like I said, like, Sunday was the fishing tournament. So like, the villagers the day before were talking like, oh, we're so excited and blah, blah, blah. And like,
there's one huge omission to this game that's really bumming me out though. Like huge.
What's that?
You know how there wasn't like Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts 3? And it's just like, well, this is what the series has always been. Why would you take this out? This Animal Crossing always has all these Nintendo items you can get.
Mm.
Like so many. Like you can get fucking the Master Sword, and when you click on it, it like goes da-da-da-da, it makes you can get like a Triforce that when you click on it, it like
Spins and
or
stuff.
like
Yeah.
you can get the fucking Blue Falcon from F-Zero. When you click on it, it like will float in the air. Like all I would do is in the last one, New Leaf or whatever, Malia would be playing it like she's playing it now, and I would just be like, "Hey, dude, if you see a Nintendo item, I want that shit." Those like Metroid stuff. There's all this cool Nintendo shit, and I have not seen a single piece of Nintendo item in this game, and I don't know
Wow.
what the fuck
That is a
up with
weird
that.
omission.
Yeah, dude, that was my favorite shit. Like you could get in Bowser's Castle, like the fireball things that go they spin around. You
Yeah.
could get that shit in your house and it'd be spinning
I
around and
I
stuff.
think
It's
I
not
think they
safe.
could also the way that they're treating this game is they could easily add that stuff later.
Yeah,
That could
but
be
why?
something
Why?
that there's like an event or something like that, or like a very special thing. I don't know.
Strange though. Every entry, I feel like they've taken more cool shit. In the original Animal Crossing, you could get an NES, and then you could actually get NES games. You could collect NES games where you could go to your house, boot up your NES, and the full NES game was playable.
That's
Interesting.
bananas.
In the original Animal Crossing, it was the coolest shit. And like now, you can't even get a fucking Master Sword. Come on.
So
Wow.
like, have they talked about like what the longevity future of this game is? Like, is there any thought that it might be a games as a service thing they might be trying to hide from us?
I don't think so.
I don't.
There's nothing as of right now. There's no way to spend real money in this game.
Just
as right
fucking
now,
There's nothing you
bells.
can do to spend. There's no like.
Yeah, no.
I mean, there's ways, like I said, that people in the real world are doing that, where it's like, hey, give me money and I'll give you this thing, but you don't have to. It's one of those things where a lot of the stuff in the game, either you can just find villagers in your town will randomly give you shit. If it's a physical item, you can't create more of that, but any item you get gets added to your catalog, and you can go and spend Nook miles to get another copy of it. Or they'll give you random recipes. You find random recipes in balloons. You find random recipes in bottles on the beach. Anytime you visit a new island, you'll always get a guaranteed new recipe. So I mean, it's one of those things where eventually, as random as the game is, you will find a majority of the stuff in the game. Like I was talking with Lau earlier, and he's trying to create like a music setup, and so he's looking for certain things. He has like a couple things like a guitar, microphone, whatever. He's looking for a drum kit. Well, I have a drum kit. I don't necessarily want to just give it to him, but I can do a thing where I give it to him temporarily. He gives it back to me, and now he has access to it in his catalog. So he can go and spend Nook miles. And Nook miles you earn, I don't know, you've probably seen me do it a couple of times. When I pull up my phone, there's a section you can go to. And those are all like how you earn Nook miles. And some of them are kind of major stuff in the game, like, oh, you catch 500 fish, catch 2,000 fish. But every day you get random objectives. The first 5 of them you get a multiplier on the points Nook miles you get from them. So plant flowers, talk to villagers, catch fish, sell seashells, whatever, and those will earn you those Nook miles.
Okay.
So eventually you can get enough to like do whatever.
I've not really
I don't see them turning this into like a game as like a service or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm not really talking about like it from a monetization aspect. More like the
Mhm.
fact that this game, it's designed to be, it's paced to where to get that winter content you got to play during the winter. You want that summer content you got to play during the summer.
Yeah,
Like-
it's always been Animal Crossing.
Yeah, but there's like you have to artificially, right at the moment you have to artificially change the clock on your Switch in order to actually experience that content. And I'm wondering like, is
Wait,
there going to be like,
I thought you couldn't do that.
Well,
You
the
can.
thing is now they're
Yeah, you can.
patching in like that kind of stuff. Or before it was all pre-programmed in. So I
Yeah,
guess,
like
like the Christmas stuff or whatever is probably not in
Yeah,
the game.
so that's what Brad's talking about. There is like the content for like Christmas or whatever they're going to call it is not in the game. There's no way you can access that.
They just patch it.
Time is irrelevant. So it's a thing that's not going to occur until that happens. The fishing tournament that happened the other day, like maybe you can artificially like start that, by changing your Switch's time, but a lot of the
Yeah.
content in the game is literally not there yet.
But
I'm
Nintendo
just really
items
interested in
aren't
like
an
the
event,
amount of
so it doesn't
support the
make any
game's gonna
sense
get.
to me.
So
I think
mean,
I think they're going to continue to create events every X. I mean, it's one of those things where it's not that complicated to have all of the content created now, and you just don't put it in the game until that time comes. And you can even automate that update. That
Yeah.
the day before this event, you send a patch. The day of, you download the patch, and these patches aren't big either; they're fairly small. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, you have access to all this new content.
Yeah.
And it's fucking Animal Crossing. It's a huge success for Nintendo. It'll be supported for a while, probably until until the end of the Switch generation, I guess, or
I mean,
at the
could
very
be.
least.
I think this is like a new kind of thing for Nintendo to try doing, like post like years worth of content for a single game. That seems a little unusual for Nintendo.
They had a
to me.
mobile game, right?
Yeah, but that's
Oh.
a
Okay,
mobile game.
we should move on. We should move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it's Animal Crossing. I'm going to continue to play it for the foreseeable future.
I
Like
feel like
Brad
your
is saying,
enthusiasm for Animal Crossing has like gotten steadily bigger and bigger.
ups and downs. Like the thing is, like on a daily basis, there's not necessarily that much for me to do. But now that I've unlocked this new kind of like, I'm about to unlock terraforming, I'll probably here's another peak, and I'll be up there for a little while, and then I'll come back down. And when the new event happens, I'll go up and down. Like I said, I'm playing with Bernadette now, so she has her own village around the island, and so we can play together at the same time. And do stuff, and we're looking for certain maybe like NPCs to come to our island, and there's there's plenty of stuff that I'll continue to play. It's just one of those things. Am I going to play for 30 minutes today, or am I going to play for 2 hours today?
Yeah.
And I think it varies every day.
Cool. All right. Well, that's it for games. I don't think we have much news to discuss.
Let's just do two.
All right. Which ones do you want to do? I'll let you lead it, Brad.
Let's start with the new XCOM game, which was announced and is coming out next week.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And is on sale for $10 right now.
20-hour campaign.
At half off.
That's
Wait,
bananas.
half off where?
How about Chris Davis lead this one?
I mean, I
Brad,
really
where is
haven't
it
read
half
that
off?
much into it myself.
Okay.
But
Well, there's trailers and stuff out there.
Where's it half off?
It's Steam. I think for
Go
the
buy
month.
that right now.
It's called, what is it called? XCOM
Chimera Squad.
yeah.
Chimera Squad. It's sort of like a spin-off that focuses more on like it's all about breaching areas and buildings and rooms and stuff. It kind of has like some door kickers style of, it's all about like the micro tactics of like one breached moment or whatever, but it's still like that complex XCOM tactics game, except now the characters you play as are sort of like characters and not like random roles, and there's like aliens in your squad as well, or like whatever they call them.
It's like
Yeah.
5 years after XCOM 2.
Yeah, so there's like snake people. There's like a snake guy that you can have
Oh,
on your team.
dude.
There's
Yeah,
a
it's like
Vuitton
XCOM
dude.
SWAT tactics.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. They look so fucking cool. Look at this tactical snake.
Yeah, it has
And you
like
see you see these pictures of these alien characters, and they're wearing like regular human clothes, like t-shirts and jeans and stuff like that.
Add 2 cards.
What is the spin?
There's like
It's a
an art
spin-off. So
style too.
does it actually have XCOM in the title, or is it just?
Yeah, it's called
Yeah,
XCOM
It's
Chimera
XCOM
Squad.
Chimera Squad. It's made by Firaxis. It comes out next week, and it still has like a lot of outside of combat like meta and stuff. It's not the same kind of XCOM game, but it's focusing on like one specific thing. It's kind of like SWAT. It's like XCOM SWAT. And
sounds
There's
it's,
a way to think about it.
and there's footage out there, man. Yeah,
Dude, I'm like,
you should,
I'm
this is like perfect timing for something like this at a really good price.
I'm really happy that this is like a slightly different type of game, because like I don't know if I'd be ready to dive into a new like
A full-fledged
XCOM like as it was, but like XCOM SWAT or like XCOM Door Kickers sounds
Yeah.
fucking tight.
And if you read into like some of the talk they do with Firaxis, they're basically saying that these features that are going to be in this new game, they weren't enough to qualify to put into a numbered XCOM sequel, but it's a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This
Come
does
on.
look this does look pretty cool.
Looks
Yeah, and like I said,
pretty
it's more
cool,
about like the
man.
micro tactics and stuff. Like the turn orders are all like shown on the side, and you have like skills and stuff that can manipulate that turn order. You know, like Final Fantasy X or something. So I'm excited. This seems like I wasn't expecting this. I don't know why it was announced and
I know.
released shortly after. That seems like a
I'm
weird thing.
confused as to like what's going on with this.
Yeah, I heard about this the other day and I thought it was like a fucking expansion for 2 that came out like a year ago that I like missed.
Or
was
I
like,
thought this
why-
was
why
for
are people
sure going to be
talking
like a
about this?
mobile game, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like an XCOM game that they announce and just release. That's like so mobile, but no, it's a real thing, and it's exciting. I love XCOM.
It's all like character based too. That's really cool.
Yeah,
Perfect
yeah,
timing. We are all
characters.
stuck here indoors. That's perfect.
This is perfect for I think someone like you, Nick, who might find like a full XCOM game kind of intimidating, or the fact that you're
You know.
not really your characters aren't really characters, and this one they kind of are. Maybe you'll.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. I
This
mean,
might be easy enough for you, Nick, you little
you-
baby, you little baby.
I'm such a little
Yeah.
bitch.
Such a little baby.
You know,
Just a
y'all
dumb
forget.
little
Got on
infant.
tape.
Y'all forget. I did put XCOM, the original Access XCOM, on my top 10 that year. Even though I played like 3 campaigns and lost all 3. I was like, the moment to moment stuff was so fun and so well designed that I was like, this is so good. Maybe I should. It's $10 on Steam. Maybe I should fucking do that.
The
I
metagame's
would say
really
so.
cool. Dude, I just bought it. Before we move on, real quick, I want to ask Brad.
I'm doing it.
While we're talking about new strategy games on Steam, have you heard of or seen anything about Radio General?
No, I don't think so. No.
It's kind of
It's
interesting.
it's a strategy game, but like it takes place entirely like in a general's tent. So like the whole thing is like you're moving your units on a board and you're listening to the radio for like
Really?
what's actually happening.
That sounds pretty fucking cool,
It
actually.
looks cool.
Is it
It's
like
on-
a real time thing? Or yeah, I guess it would be.
What is it?
Yeah.
What is it called again?
It's called Radio General. You're a general sitting in a tent. All you have is a map and a radio. Can you win the battle? Radio General is a unique
Yeah.
strategy game where you interact with your units over the radio using speech recognition. Oh, that's what. Did we talk
Oh.
about this already?
Oh,
I
by the way,
I feel
there's
like you brought. I don't remember if this was on the podcast or like just.
Did I
between
ask
shows.
you
was
about?
off the
Did we just have
podcast.
this conversation? Oh, it was off the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm
By the
sorry,
way,
guys.
there's a voice mod. for
weeks are running
Bannerlord,
together.
Crispy. There's a voice mod for Bannerlord, so you
Is
can
there
command your
really?
troops with your voice.
Is there really?
Infantry, advance! Yeah.
Oh.
That sounds interesting. Yeah, this looks pretty wild.
Bannerlord. Nick, buy me Windows 10.
I was. Let's talk about it after the show.
Windows 10.
Bro, you can get a key for like 10 or
Or
15 bucks.
dude, somebody do
No,
everything
if-
for me.
I thought you could upgrade for free from
I
Windows
don't
8.
know. It's Nick's
Wait.
money. I don't care if he wastes it.
Wait, you said you can upgrade from Windows 8? Do you have Windows 8? Or I thought it was Windows 7.
I'm on Windows 8.1. Or I'm
Oh.
sorry. No, I'm on Windows 8.0.
Okay, Vang in chat says Windows 10 is still free.
I know.
Crispy, what the fuck are you doing? Go get your
What do you
freaking
want
free
me? I
upgrade.
don't know how to do it. Ah!
Somebody
Okay,
send him
whatever.
the link.
I don't want to talk about this anymore. Next subject.
Crispy, you
They
apparently
talked about Resident Evil 4
literally
rumors.
open your it says open the desktop version, open the control panel, select Windows Update. You'll see Windows 10 upgrade ready. You can literally
He's gonna
just
do it like
fucking
right
do
now.
it.
He's gonna do it right now and just like drop out of the call. Oh man, do we want to talk about the Resident Evil 4 thing?
It's
I think we
happening.
should.
Apparently.
Yes. No, I think
Apparently,
we
there's a
should.
Resident Evil 4 thing.
That's interesting news. A Resident
is.
Evil 4 remake, the thing that we kind of didn't want because we felt like it
It's
would have
so
been a
weird. It's
waste of
so
resources for Capcom.
it is weird. I do feel a bit torn because part of me,
A game that we all just played through very recently.
You're
and it
right,
holds up
that-
incredibly well.
it
Even
does
though
hold up
came out in
incredible. Like
2005.
as far as remakes that aren't necessary goes, this is like top of them probably. Like it's
You know
not
what?
necessary.
You know what
But
Capcom has a lot of games that
you're right. I know
are
what you're going to say.
necessarily needing to be remade.
I would take a remake or even just a sequel to Dino Crisis or Onimusha. I think are the two prime candidates over a remake of Resident Evil 4 any day of the week.
Or how about a new IP?
Or a new IP, but well, yay. IPs can be new IPs can be, I want Dino Crisis.
Nostalgia, Chris.
I want Dino Crisis back, baby. But
I mean, I do too. But like at the same time, when was the last time Capcom actually put out a new IP?
Dragon's Dogma. I don't know.
What's wrong with Dragon's Dogma?
Nothing is wrong with Dragon's Dogma. That game is a fine fucking video game. But you know what? Like at the same time, Resident Evil 4 is amazing, and you know what else is amazing? That the engine they're running. What do they call their Resident Evil engine that they're using for this? The one that they've made the past. Is it called the re-engine?
Yeah.
That engine is fucking gorgeous and beautiful, and I love it. And part of me is just like a selfish bitch, and I just want to see Resident Evil 4 recreated in that.
Well,
it's kind of like,
I hate to say it, but I think the engine that Resident Evil 4 runs in, to me, the combat feels a lot better than it does in like RE7 or RE Remake 2.
I think the combat is. Well, the thing is, it's weird. Making that comparison is strange because even Resident Evil 2 Remake is a slower paced game than Resident Evil 4. Yeah, combat is not a 1-to-1 with it.
It's not, which I don't know if like slowing it down like it is in the newer engine is going to make it quote unquote better,
Well,
like
I
like the way it feels.
I don't think they will. It's just that's not about the engine. That's just about those being two different kinds of games.
Yeah, different.
Resident Evil 4 is more of an action game. Resident Evil 2 has always been a survival horror. So like, naturally.
What does Resident Evil 3 make? What about?
I mean, it's somewhere in between technically.
I mean, 3 was just an extension.
And have like a cool fucking animation as I go and like kick down a bunch of zombies. That's that. I feel like hit reactions. Shooting dynamite out of the hand. Like that's such a big part of Resident Evil 4, right?
And sure, I think they will keep that, man.
I think Capcom recognizes that's important.
I swear to God, if they don't put a laser sight, I think it's ridiculous that that's not an option in the last few Resident Evil games. That is just that shitty fucking reticle, because like aiming and shooting was so much more engaging with that red laser sight. I really believe that. So
you know what game has a good red laser sight for aiming?
What?
Half-Life Alyx.
That's very true.
Yeah, I mean,
it's very true.
I believe you, Nolan. Yeah. I mean, whatever. The thing is, I think Resident Evil 4 is like more fun to play than the modern Resident Evil games in terms of like interactions with enemies and whatever. It didn't need to be fucking remade. God damn it.
But then again, you know what else?
Why not? What are you talking about? Like those older ones, absolutely. Like what made those exciting was the jump in between, like what Resident Evil 2 was before to what it is now. That's crazy. They did that, and it was, same with.
I totally get what you're saying.
Exciting. By the way,
I totally get what you're.
It's like a 7 out of 10, but
I totally get what you're saying, and I'm not even disagreeing with you.
The jump for Resident Evil 4 is not as exciting. Code Veronica would have been exciting. Even Zero would have been exciting, right? Because you're seeing it with a new lens. And the new things that they do, like everything, all of a sudden that perspective becomes different, and it's cool and it's exciting. But here, it's
I'm not even disagreeing with you. But I think when you see, obviously, speaking out my ass here, obviously no one has seen what this game is going to look like, but I think the moment they show the first screenshot or the first motion, like trailer where you see the game in motion, and it's Resident Evil 4 being rendered in this engine, you're gonna go, holy shit. Because like, not that Resident Evil 4 looks bad.
It's the studio that remade 3, and I mean, ultimately found that game pretty disappointing.
My biggest concern at this point is there are things. Obviously, we talked a lot about Resident Evil 3 last week and about how there was so much stuff, or in my opinion, at least, I feel like there was a lot of stuff that was excluded from the remake, and coming from like if we were coming off of Resident Evil 2, I would be like over the moon, like, oh, Resident Evil 4 remake, bring it on. That would be amazing. But seeing stuff that they left out of the remake of 3 makes me a little hesitant, because if they left
think about this first of all.
If they left out big chunks of Resident Evil 4, the internet would burn Capcom to the ground.
I'm telling you, that's not what this project's going to be. It's going to be a visual remaster, and that's about all it's going to do.
Remaster?
You're assuming a lot for something that we know nothing about.
I mean,
this is the only reason this...
No. Hang on. Think about the legacy of this fucking game that has been ported to every single fucking console under the sun. Almost everybody on this fucking planet has played that game at this point, or has at least owned it. Okay.
All the more reason for them to try and change shit up. Like, I'm worried at this point. Like, if they just remaster it in a new engine and leave it exactly like 1-to-1 remake,
not a remaster. I think he means more like Shadow of the Colossus, maybe.
Yeah, something along those lines. That same exact gameplay experience with a complete visual overhaul. That's all you need to do. The thing is, that's all you need to do.
That's a waste of time.
I want a Resident Evil 4.
It's not for a game that came out in 2005.
Dude, we're talking about a game that
years.
We're talking about a game that exists in a post Resident Evil 2 remake world, and the whole reason these remakes are taking off the way they're taking off is because Resident Evil 2 remake was so successful.
Yeah, like, you know what made Resident Evil 2 remake exciting? It's because all of a sudden it looked like Resident Evil post Resident Evil 4 Resident Evil instead of classic Resident Evil. That's what made it exciting.
Also,
I wouldn't mind a remake of Resident Evil 4 in like 10 or 15 years. Now is too soon. They've already put out Resident Evil 4 remastered on. You can get it on your PS4 and your Xbox One, or in your PC. It's like, it's too fucking soon.
I mean, I will say this, like, while that's technically true, if they recreated that experience with the same engine they're using for Resident Evil 2 remake, and you saw it in motion, your jaw would probably hit the floor and you'd be super excited.
I mean, I wasn't with Shadow of the Colossus, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. It's just too soon.
Did you ever play that fucking remake?
No.
Why?
Why not?
Because it's just why? I have no interest in that. It's the same fucking look. It looks.
We look at the world very differently. All right, let's move on. I don't want to spend another hour talking about Resident Evil. We talked about a lot of it last week. I just wanted to bring it up.
Literally one of my favorite games of all time. It's on my top 10 list.
I know.
And I don't care about this project. I'd rather it not happen.
Well, it's gonna happen. So let's see where it goes. Nolan,
what up?
Are you ready to read us some questions?
I'm always ready.
Let's fucking do it.
All right. So now it's time for community questions. Sorry. This is the part where we talk about questions that are asked from our community members because we love you all. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Cool. Like Nick had mentioned, I think you mentioned it earlier in the show during the feedback section.
Yeah.
But we have a list where we have all of the questions that we get asked. We go through them not in order. We pick some that are relevant to what's going on, or just some that we haven't hit in a while. Unfortunately, not all of the ones this week have dates on them.
Yeah.
You had mentioned maybe reading dates, but they're not there.
But so you also said you would make them up. But also,
I'm not making anything up.
Feel free, Nolan, to deviate. I just highlighted some. Those consider them suggestions. If you see a question and you say that looks like a good question, go for it.
I'm on it.
It's up to you, though.
First question this week from Nikki, patron. This question was asked on February 4th, 2011. We're just getting to it. With the whole Corona situation, man, Nikki, the foresight. How did you know? Why didn't you warn us, Nikki?
Damn.
With the whole Corona situation still ongoing, and with people battening down the hatches, battening down, I'm sorry. Do you have any tips for those of us who are going to stay cooped up inside for the foreseeable future? For instance, do you have any tips for a bingeable game series to play from start to finish, or perhaps you've seen a good TV show you'd like to recommend? Stay safe, y'all. And
this
it
just
ends
made me
with
think
Nicholas, so I think Nikki is short for Nicholas.
of this just made me think of, I think Blobley is probably just like enjoying the shit out of this, because Blobley was already working on playing every JRPG ever made, and now he's
That's true.
probably
That's a fact.
plowing ahead in that list faster than he already was. But as far as specific recommendations go,
Just an
I
old, do your backlog, but do
Yeah.
like from like a decade or two ago,
this,
like
I
stuff
think
you've always wanted to go back to.
this
like
is the
something-
perfect time to go back and hit stuff on your backlog. Especially now that we're going to start seeing a lot of the stuff that we're expecting this month and next month are going to be delayed. Like The Last of Us 2 is no longer coming out in May. May is now, and I use this term loosely, wide open. Like that's why I wouldn't play The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine, because it's been on my backlog. It's been sitting on my shelf for so long, and I was like, fuck it, why not? Same thing with I'm same kind of thing with like TV shows and movies. Like now, if you have something you've always wanted to watch, but didn't feel like you had enough time to like really commit to it, now is the perfect time.
Like, what are you thinking about right now? What series? What TV
Smallville.
show?
No, I'm just kidding.
I fucking knew it.
He had that locked and loaded, man. I don't trust it.
I'm actually almost done watching Man in the High Castle.
I swear to God, if you start watching Buffy again,
I haven't even finished my first last rewatch. I have half a season left.
I think Nick should take my advice I gave him a while back. Speaking of Smallville, Buffy, I don't know what else.
Firefly, fuck it. Just throw all the what you just said.
No, I think you should watch Being Human, because I don't think you've ever seen it.
Oh, I've seen it.
I think. Oh, okay.
I didn't see the whole thing, but I've seen it because it has Sam Witwer in it.
Watch it. Yeah, because that's like.
Yeah, I liked what I saw. It was funny.
Sam
cool.
Witwer, vampires, ghosts, and werewolves. That's
do you track down everything that dude's in?
No, but he was in Dexter and he was in Smallville. Completely.
Wow.
Nick, were you a big fan of Kyle XY?
Kyle X. What is Kyle XY?
I watched Kyle XY for a
hot minute. It just seems like a show you would watch.
I think you would like it.
The fuck is it?
I don't know. It's like a kid who's an alien or a clone or something.
Doesn't he like not have a belly button or something?
Yeah. That's how they knew he was different.
Sounds like you two are big fans of it.
Yeah.
Did I watch that show for like 2 episodes when it first came out? All right. Anyway, so yeah, I think Nick and Brad had some good suggestions. I think older JRPGs are good just because it's something you can take a while to kind of get into, maybe get into the lore of like the history of them, like look up shit online. We talked a little bit earlier. I don't know if that was before we were live or not, but the Tales of series is a good series to kind of play some of those older ones, playing older like Final Fantasy games. Yeah, Suikoden's good.
I'm actually quite excited to like hit stuff on my backlog right now.
Nick's gonna play Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
I would love to.
Chrono Trigger book club. Let's go.
What else?
I still gotta finish KOTOR too.
The Uncharted series. I think the collection just went free on PlayStation Plus.
Right.
Didn't it?
Yep, it is free right now.
That's a good one. That's a good. 50
I think that's the Nathan Drake
longer.
collection. So it's 1, 2, and 3 is free on PlayStation Store right now.
Good. Yeah. But yeah, as far as TV shows goes, we've named a few.
Look for deals. There's a lot of them
deals,
out there.
Whatever. I think there's plenty of streaming services where you can watch lots of good shows. I don't know, the fucking Sopranos, The Wire.
Dude,
there's plenty of old
that's on my
shows
fucking
if you've never
list.
seen. Sopranos pretty good.
never seen
Breaking Bad, if you've never seen it. Has anyone here watched Better Call Saul?
I'm almost done with the first season of Better Call Saul, and I'm loving it. So I might just continue with that.
I don't know if you've never seen Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I've never seen it.
Dude, that's a good
That's
show.
a fucking great show.
I watched the first episode of the new season of What We Do in the Shadows today.
I watched.
How was that?
Oh, is it out
today, Brad? Yeah, it came out yesterday, Crispy. It's on Hulu, and they're pretty fucking good. I watched the first 2 today. Dude, they got some new people as cameos. It's pretty fucking good.
I just realized that they put that first season on Hulu fairly recently, so
yeah,
that's also a show I want to watch.
Thankfully, because you used to have to fucking watch it on like via FX, like weird, like it was fucking dumb. And I guess FX did a deal with Hulu because FX realized they're being dumb and trying to do their own.
Fargo's going to be on Hulu too next week.
Yes,
I can finally watch that.
Or
The
the
new
old
season, yeah, the new season.
What genre would you say Fargo the show is?
Amazing.
No, that's
Delightful.
not the question, Nolan.
Fantastic.
Weird crime.
Unmissable.
Weird
Superhero.
crime.
No.
Crime is a good
Teenage
one.
superheroes. Teenage
Fuck.
superheroes.
Shut the fuck
Oh,
up.
dude, new season. of
Witty
Wednesday.
vampire, smart.
How dare you?
Weed and S.
I feel attacked. We didn't ask. Go fuck yourself.
Crispy,
What was your question, Crispy?
Hmm?
Crispy had a question. I thought you just said something, didn't you? Did I imagine that? Never mind.
No, I said Harley Quinn has a new season that's out too.
I saw that.
But Nick, in all seriousness, it is like a smart show. I feel. I do feel like there's a lot of really good humor in it. Some of it's dry humor, but some of it's like just straight up like comedy kind of. But I think every season has like just standout performances.
It's very, very, very good.
The first season,
I
with
do have Hulu.
Martin Freeman and Billy Bob, both fucking fantastic in it. The third season, Ewan McGregor and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, like fucking their performances are like amazing. Highly recommend.
That also reminds me, Killing Eve is a show I want to watch.
Yes,
That-
that just
that
actually,
new season also
3
just started.
started. Yeah, I watched that one.
God, there's
Killing
so
Eve's a
many
good show.
fucking shows.
See, me and Brad are watching all the good shows, and Nick's just rewatching Smallville.
No, guys, I haven't
We
watched
tried to tell
Smallville in
him.
3 weeks. I've been watching.
Because that makes
he's
it better,
fucking,
Nick.
he's jonesing for it now. It's like
God,
it's
no.
He needs his fix.
I'm like, I've watched the entire
In
almost.
24 days.
I only have 4 episodes left, and I will have finished binge watching Man in the High Castle, and I'm loving that show.
All right,
So-
fair enough. Fair enough.
Why do you
All right,
like
let's move
Nazis
on.
so much?
I was considering
He's got like
cleansing
a
my
AA
palate.
coin for Smallville. I've been off Smallville for 3 weeks.
I hate all of you.
This
I'm never
3-week
I'm never gonna confide in you again about things I'm watching.
Somebody in the community make Nick like.
I
a
told you
30-day
that, and
chip.
I told you that in confidence because I thought you were my friends.
All right, next question from
I'm gonna
Metal
watch
Button.
an episode of Smallville tonight.
Oh, he's gonna relapse.
Although
Just
most of my
spite of us.
questions are questionable at best, I would like to ask a somewhat normal question.
Wait, who is this?
The Metal Button.
Metal Button.
He asked this
All right.
question on September 3rd, 1982.
That's
Are there
good.
any acts of kindness or faith in humanity stories you wish to share? For example, with the massive sanitizer shortage earlier in March, Spirit of York, a local producer of spirits in the distillery district of Toronto, halted production of booze and used the alcohol to make hand sanitizers. Given as it's alcohol specifically for premium spirits, it must be the Rolls Royce of sanitizers. Also, do you all have Also, do you have a butthole?
Good question. Yes.
one? Or
Show and tell time.
better answer.
Uh,
What if I said no?
Then I would be
Anal
worried.
topography.
Ooh, good, like heartwarming stories.
I saw the exact opposite of that today.
I bet you did.
Of people
This-
in Michigan protesting the lockdown and causing a traffic jam, and like ambulances getting stuck in the traffic jam.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw that. That's fucked up.
It's not
Man,
great.
it's
Not a good look.
hard. But like a lot of the things that immediately like come to mind are just things that have been kind of all over the news. That everybody's seeing. Like I personally haven't left my house really, so like I haven't witnessed anything specific. Oh God.
What was the
I
question?
mean,
I saw. It's funny. Like it's like, you know how in like New York, this is not the spirit of the question because I realize now it's kind of the opposite. But in New York they're going out like at 7:00 at night or whatever. Whenever the shift changes for like medical staff, people are going out on their balconies and like playing music and like hitting pans and like making a lot of noise, like cheering people on or whatever. Somebody in our neighborhood was trying to get people to do that, like leaving signs up all over the place. And it never
but no one
happened.
would see the signs.
I know. Well, I went around and someone had torn them all down.
Oh wow.
And I was like, what the fuck? Yeah,
I like an
Was it you,
asshole neighbor
Nick? Did you make
complaining.
those signs, Nick?
I did
Someone
not know.
someone in my neighborhood set out a lending library on the sidewalk.
That's kind of cool.
So
Yeah.
I run around my neighborhood a couple times a week, and there is like someone a while back built, and it wasn't like part of this. It's at least been there for 8 months. But they have like a little, like, it almost looks like a big mailbox, and it has just a
Yeah.
little hatch on it, and they keep a bunch of books, and they say, "Hey, feel free to put some in, feel free to take one, whatever." And it's a nice
Yeah.
concept. I'm trying to. There's definitely some good stuff that's been happening lately. I think a lot of it's around like I've heard good stuff about corporations being like pretty fucking solid dudes. I think it was like the CEO of Columbia, the clothing manufacturer. They do like jackets and shirts and all
Yeah.
that shit. I think I heard their CEO dropped his salary to $10,000 a year, so he could spend the extra on his employees who were having like a tough time and stuff like that. And I understand it's also there's definitely a PR side to it and stuff.
Corporations are not your friends.
That's a fact. But I mean, it's I think it's any kind of good faith. Seeing stuff like that.
You know what I'm not seeing enough of?
What?
People. Yeah, no, let's just move on.
No, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. This sounds like juice.
I agree. Let's not get.
Look how red Nick's face is getting. I want to hear it.
I think his face is a delightful color.
It is.
Thank you.
The color of juice.
All right, let's just move on real quick. Next question from Ash, another
Catch
patron.
him.
Do you sometimes worry that your house stinks, but you've just gotten used to it?
Yes, all the time.
Well, I
Any
think
day
now is a good time to worry about that because you're not leaving. But I think on a daily basis, if you leave and go into your house, you should probably smell a weird smell if you come back to it. I will say, if at any point in time you smell something that almost smells like fishy, that's like not near your kitchen, like it's like a random room in the house smells almost like fishy, that could be an electrical shortage.
Safety tips from Nolan.
When wires are burning, it can kind of give off like a almost fishy odor. So if like I actually rented a house, and it wasn't until we left that house that I found out about this, but every once in a while when the AC would kick on, I would kind of smell like almost like a fishy odor, and that can be cause for concern. So definitely look into that. If
And
you
along
smell
those-
something.
I'm gonna remember that forever now. Thank you.
Along those same lines, if you smell something kind of like toast overdone, like burnt toast, you could have a brain tumor.
It's true.
Or
your toast is burning. So quickly,
Or you might be having a stroke, or your house is about to burn down.
or the
quickly
toaster
get
probably
the
needs to be
toast.
checked. Maybe check the toaster first. To get back to the question though, as someone who has
ovens.
two cats, I always am concerned that my house doesn't smell great. We burn candles here a lot for that exact reason.
I'm afraid to
yeah,
burn
no.
candles in my apartment with these little bastards.
Get
That's
better.
why
knock
you.
them off and start
That's
a
why you
fire.
put
Like,
them.
Don't
you put
burn
them
a
up high.
candelabra. If you have a
Yes.
big enough candle, I don't think they're really gonna like knock it over.
Also,
They're-
just put them in places that are up high.
Oh yeah, like that's not a challenge for them to try for.
Well,
My
suspend
cat's-
them from the ceiling.
The cats or the candles?
Why not
Yes.
both?
Next question.
All right. Sherika asks, since the pandemic has happened and social distancing has been followed in most places, what activities are you all most looking forward to doing when the restrictions have been lifted? That's a good one.
I can't wait to go back to the draft house. As
Oh,
someone
yeah,
who goes
movies?
as someone who goes
Yeah.
to the draft house like once every 2 weeks or so, I haven't gone in almost 2 months.
Seconded.
Yeah, it's killing me.
I want to go to the river.
To the
like-
river.
Yeah.
Just like fucking being able to run out to a hobby shop and buy something real quick.
Dude,
Yeah.
just, like
Yeah.
the ability to like quickly run to HEB or something like that is not really something I do now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the ability
that's a
to
good
eat
one.
in a restaurant.
Yeah.
I don't miss that much.
Yeah, Villosaurus in chat says sushi. I totally agree with that.
Ooh.
I've been eating so every time we go to the grocery store now, which
Make
we
your
do
own
once a
sushi,
week.
dude.
I've thought about it. But every time we go to the grocery store, we get all the stuff we need for the week, and we do it around lunchtime. and I just grab one of the sushi things that they have at their, they have a little sushi stand there. And before this happened, I used to be like kind of a sushi snob, and be like, HEB sushi's not very good sushi. Now that I can't have sushi on the regular, I love it.
Still bad.
So
not great.
Villosaurus also brought up craft beers. I literally, right before all this happened, ordered a growler, and it got delivered during the pandemic, and then everything closed down. And so now I have a growler I've never used. There's a couple of places around me that have craft beer that I really wanted to get. Like Pinus Pizza near me has electric jellyfish, and I really
haven't had the electric jellyfish since I went to the draft house.
Right, and I really wanted to fill up my growler with some electric jellyfish, but I fucking can't.
I know, man.
That's definitely something I can't wait till. But I think like we mentioned it before. I think it's just one of those things where it's not gonna happen all at once. It's gonna be subtle. Like the next time, Nick, you go to the draft house, you're gonna be fucking like, "Where's that Rona?"
Here's the thing,
you're gonna be fucking creeping still.
It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be as this starts to slowly be lifted and everything. But I still for the foreseeable future, you got to imagine businesses are gonna have to start taking precautions, like cutting capacity in half. Like if you had a movie, I feel like for the foreseeable future, when movie theaters reopen, they shouldn't let groups of people sit directly next to each other. There should be two seats as a buffer in between each group. You know what I mean?
It's gonna be a while. I think that's a good idea. I think we're still for a while gonna see certain stores limiting the number of people that can go inside at once. Just being like, hey, there's X number of people in there. Just wait a couple minutes and then you can go in, just to prevent too much. Yeah.
Also, I really want to. So Robin and I tend to go to my parents' house every 2 weeks usually to have dinner and whatnot. And it's become kind of a routine for us, and I look forward to it. I haven't seen my parents outside. I had a video conference with them a couple times. Have not seen my parents in person, and since this all started, so month and a half or so, which is a long time.
We've been doing drug deals with Bernadette's parents because we don't want them going to the store and stuff like that. Yeah. And so we order their groceries, and then they come over, and we leave them in the garage. And then when they get here, they open the garage and go in and get the food and leave an envelope of money, and then they leave.
I give them Venmo.
I was gonna fly home to Florida. I was gonna fly home to Florida at the end of the month and see my parents, who I haven't seen in over a year. Can't do that now.
That sucks.
Fucking lame.
I mean, you actually can't? Is there no flights, or?
I would not.
I had a plane ticket and the airline canceled it.
Really?
Wow. It's getting bad. I mean, on a more general level,
not
obviously.
Only that, I think Florida has a 2-week mandatory. When they were letting people come into the state, it was a 2-week mandatory
quarantine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. On a general level, obviously, you just want to be able to hang out with friends again. I look forward to being able to see y'all in person again. I look forward to getting married. That's, a thing that's not going to happen soon now. Maybe also no honeymoon for a while. That kind of sucks.
That is one thing.
Literally was going to do both of those. Was literally going to do both of those things next month. Now
Bernadette and I like to do one kind of trip a year. It doesn't have to be anything too fancy.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago we just went up to Colorado or something. But now it's I don't know when the next time we're gonna do that is.
I would like to go to a fucking concert again, but God knows that's probably gonna be a very long time.
Yeah. You're not gonna. You don't want to get in that Corona pit.
Correct.
Pit.
Correct.
All right, let's move on. Next question from Zero Skies. Place your bets. What year do you think Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 will be released?
So here's my hope.
2023.
Here's my hope is that a lot of the development time, obviously a lot of the development time has been devoted to creating Part 1 so far, but they've established their engine, right? You got to imagine it's probably a fairly sizable team that towards, as months leading up to the end of development on this game, they already had a chunk of people set aside and everything for Part 2, and they probably already had a game plan laid out. I'm hoping a game plan is kind of like a roadmap for this thing has been laid out. I would love to see Part 2 by 2021.
Even if it's the same type of game, a very linear story-driven game with no open world and explorable world or towns or vehicles or chocobo riding and racing and whatever. Even if it's the same type of game, You're just they're gonna cut out like Fort Condor and Calm and stuff. You're just gonna go straight to the next game is gonna be about Junon and Junin,
I
whatever
don't
you
think they'll cut out
called it.
Fort Condor. I think
No.
it'll still be there. And I do think it's
I
gonna
think
come
if
out
anything goes,
2021.
Wutai
I
might.
didn't finish my I didn't get to the
I'm sorry,
comma.
Brett.
I'm saying even
Okay.
if it's the same type of game, look at this game. There's so many like unique, like the way the game is made. It's so linear. Everything is like a unique sequence, cutscene, voice acting. Like it's all handmade. It's not like a systems driven game. Sure, they have the combat system, but they have to hand make like 100% of this game. Even if it's the same type of game, it's still gonna take years to make. Still,
I know. I'm
there's-
just saying a
you
lot of
can't
the
expedite that.
conceptual
Well,
parts,
who
like
says they haven't already started working on it?
But
Who
yeah, I
has-
mean, they probably
Who says
have.
they
but-
haven't already started working on it? 6 months ago, maybe.
I think it's realistic to say 2021 we might see part 2.
I
That's-
think
that's
fall 2021 would not be shocking, depending on how many parts is this game going to be. Is
I
the
think
big
that-
question.
I think this needs to be at most 3. Like
I
at some
agree.
point
I
people
don't
are
think it should be
at
more
some
than that.
point people are going to stop caring, and like 3 is like,
Okay, so what all is going to be in the next game if it's 3 parts?
I think, oh god.
Should I start naming off towns?
The logical progression they would go with if they were going to go with a 3-game arc would be
The first one being
first one's
Midgar.
Midgar, the second one would be everything leading up to the crater, and then the third one
The
would
third
be
one's the crater?
the third one would be the end of the game. Everything from the crater on.
But like how do you make an
No.
entire game out of the crater?
The northern crater?
No, yeah.
Are you talking?
No, the second
Wait.
one would end with when they get to the crater, and it's basically the end of disc 1.
Okay, that's not in the crater.
Crater is the end of disc 2, and then disc 3 is just the end, isn't it?
Yeah, disc 3 is pretty short from what I remember.
Yeah,
I
disc
know
3
what
is
like-
short.
you're talking about. The end of the second game is the thing.
Guys, here's a crazy idea. What if it's just 2 games?
I would love
And
that.
like it's Midgar and then
What if-
everything
what if
after
Midgar is like
Your
ground
fucking
zeros?
mind.
What if
You're
Midgar
not
like-
even- there's
is
no
ground
way.
zeros, and then the next part is the rest of it?
What do you spend 20 minutes in Cosmo Canyon? What are you talking about? Like they can't do it like that.
First of all, something is going to get cut. Something is going to end up like the clock tower in Resident Evil 3,
Sure.
where it's
sure.
just relegated to a like
I mean-
Wutai
But
is going to be a
here's-
cutscene.
Here's the thing.
Dude, no,
you
you're out of your
guys
fucking
really
mind.
need to finish
Trust
this
me.
game.
There is more mention of Wutai in this game than there was in the first half of.
I was just pulling that out of my ass because I'm just saying, that game is. I mean,
Wutai was optional in the original.
there are
game,
going
though.
to be there are going to be towns from Final Fantasy VII that have to be like fully fleshed out. That
Costa
Gold
del
Saucer,
Sol?
Gold
You gonna go to
Saucer.
Costa del Sol?
No, Costa del Sol is gonna be a cutscene.
Yeah.
I'm saying Junon, Gold Saucer, Cosmo
Nibelheim,
Canyon.
Nibelheim,
Wutai,
has to be in,
Nibelheim.
obviously.
Don't forget
Rocket
Rocket Town and
No
Mining
Rocket
Town.
Town?
yeah.
No Sid? Are we
No,
writing
Rocket
Sid out again?
Town's in the, fuck.
Rocket Town would. I don't think Rocket Town would be that long.
Remember when you went snowboarding and then you were like lost in a snow maze for hours?
Yeah,
That's game
the
3.
Forest of the Ancients.
Game 3 is where you're
You have
lost
to
in
have
the
Forest of the
snowstorm.
Ancients. You have to have Force of the Ancients.
You do. Fuck.
You
Again,
have to have Medeal.
I
Which one's
I
Medeal?
cannot understate
That's
that
the
you
big
guys
cloud
really
forest,
need to
the
finish this
good-
game.
Wait, someone remind me. Remind me what Medeal was.
When
The fuck
go
you
into
guys
clouds,
talking
like,
about?
fucking memories. When you
Chris
go into
Davis, I
clouds,
can't finish it
memories.
if I haven't started it.
Okay, whatever. Chris,
I don't
you
even
should
own
really
the
play
game.
this game because there are giant mechs.
Intesha says Palmer better get hit by a truck or I'm a riot. That's true.
True. Yeah.
That's very
Final
true.
Fantasy
I'm sure
VII
you
has
will.
giant mechs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're called weapons.
Oh, the weapons.
Yeah.
I didn't know those were mechs. I thought
You
they
know
were
what?
Well, they're
I could-
giant kaiju mech things. Yeah.
I don't think those weapons are gonna make it into the game.
No, they have to put that in there. That
They
is
don't
one
have to
thing
do
that they
anything,
cannot
Chris Davis.
ignore.
Want to make a
have
hot
to
dog
do
bet,
anything.
dude?
I'm
We just
sure
looked at
right now.
we just
I'll
listed
shake
off
the
1,000 things that like I honestly can't imagine them ignoring any of it. but something I couldn't imagine them ignoring the clock tower in Resident Evil 3 either, and here we are. I'm just saying.
Let's move on to the final question this week from Thorax.
2025 is when it's gonna come.
Yep. This question was asked in 2025, correct? Capcom decides to take the RE3 route and cut out a major location in RE4 Remake out of the village, castle, or island. What location would you be willing to get cut out?
Island all the way.
Island.
Fuck
Yeah.
the island. Dude,
If
Island's
out of
where
those
they
three
just flatten
choices,
out.
I would
Yeah.
recontextualize the end and put it back somewhere in it, make a new area that is more similar in style to the village.
Or
But
yeah,
don't
I mean,
cut
just
anything.
redesign the island
up, Brad?
completely.
Don't cut anything.
well, no, Brad, that's not the spirit of the question.
The question is it's like this is like a fuck, marry, kill.
What if this
Yeah.
Resident Evil Village thing wasn't an actual title for Resident Evil 8 and was actually a working title for the Resident Evil 4 remake, and it's just going to be village stuff?
Shut up.
No, I'm serious.
What, you mean like they're gonna pull like a Midgar? Like
No,
it's
they're
gonna
not
be
gonna
yeah,
do that.
yeah.
that's
Why,
dumb.
Why not?
Because
That's
the
dumb.
Resident
like,
Evil 4
expand
remake,
that
if you read
section?
into the rumors, it's being
Yeah.
developed entirely by M2.
They're going to expand it, and the first part's just going to be the village, and it's RE for village people.
Do you think so? You're saying they wouldn't even get to the castle?
No, just the village people.
Dude,
Castle Crashers is the
You
second
know, it's
part
so
of the remake.
fucking funny, dude. It's so hard to watch TV, regular human TV around Henry, right? But sometimes we'll just give him his fucking tablet just because, god damn it, we're so tired of watching
Right.
bullshit. We just want to see
Paw
something
Patrol.
without him being asleep, right? Because right now he has to be asleep. And we were watching the first episode of What We Do in the Shadows, and there's a scene where someone gets brought back to life, right? And everything that happens afterwards. You watched it, right, Nolan?
No,
And-
don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
I'm not gonna spoil anything, but like it involves this character like screaming and attacking, and Henry's like playing on his tablet, and he looks up, and then we have to pause, but we have to make sure we're not pausing it on like a scary
Yeah.
and then he looks back down, he starts playing again, and then we start watching it, and then he hears a scream again. He looks at it. It's just like back and forth. This isn't related to the question, but my god, it was so funny.
Sounds
He's probably
sounds
gonna
like
have
an awful
nightmares
way to
tonight.
watch television, to be totally honest.
It's really bad.
You should just get.
Was
some
it
Bluetooth
worth it,
headsets.
Brad? Having kids.
Having children can't even watch television in peace. Oh my god.
All right, well, that's all the questions this week. If we didn't get to a question you previously asked, don't worry. We still
my
have it on our
God.
list. We'll get to it eventually.
We're working
Podcast
on it.
is so long. Do you think it's because of Chris Davis?
Yes.
Wait,
Because
what?
if you
Let's go
think
with
about it,
that.
we just added another person to the podcast. I
Yeah.
can't believe it's 11:30 already.
I know, right?
I was gonna
Well,
watch
you
4 more
guys-
episodes of Smallville tonight.
You guys
We
had
didn't
two
start the
very
podcast until
girthy Final
8:30,
Fantasy
Brad.
conversations.
That's when we started every week.
I had it
Yeah,
ready
it
to
still
go.
means it's been 3 hours.
All right, well, we still have one more thing to do before we close out. So start thinking about your 4-player minute. I'm gonna do a supporter spotlight because I've been
Start
terrible since this whole
thinking
thing
about
started.
it? You mean pull up your pre-written list?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I meant.
Mine's already written down.
Anyways,
Bam.
it's been a while since I've done a supporter spotlight, and it's because I'm terrible and this whole thing has thrown me off. But I want to get back to it. So, a reminder: if you're a supporter on Patreon at the $3 tier or higher, or if you're a supporter on Twitch, you should have access to the supporter spotlight channel in Discord. In that channel, there's a pinned message with a link. Click that link; it'll take you to a doc where we ask you some general questions about your taste in games and opinions and stuff like that. And I'll just pick one at random and read them. What's up, Nolan?
I forgot to fucking talk about Midnight Ghost Hunt.
Next
I
week.
was in the alpha. for
Next
that.
week. Next
Hold
week,
on,
Nolan.
I can give a 5-second summary.
It sucks.
The game seems like it's really good. Every single person I played with was a fucking asshole, and I had a horrible time playing with random people.
Play with Crispy.
Oh,
I'll play with
Crispy
you.
What is it?
I heard that game
It's
requires Windows
multiplayer
10.
play.
Sorry.
It's multiplayer.
Does it?
I think the game has a
Our-
lot of potential. I just
It's
was in a
fucking
lot of shitty situations.
Our supporter spotlight for this week is Fuzzy Turd. And he's from the
What?
Woodlands, Texas.
Fuzzy turd?
It's very
Wait,
close.
really?
Yeah.
Woodlands.
Yeah, I used to go to the Woodlands all the time.
Fuzzy
My
Turd
childhood
is-
friend Charles moved to the Woodlands, and I never heard from him again.
Oh man.
All right.
That's really sad.
We ask, what is one interesting fact about yourself you would like the community to know? And Fuzzy Turd said, I've started pursuing voice acting since late summer, writing this in November 2019, and have been cast for a few small projects in a small indie game, and also do regular work for a decently large YouTube channel. Not much there, but I'm happy with the progress I've made and what I feel is not that long of a time.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, if you're already landing gigs, like it doesn't matter how small they are, that's progress. Congratulations. I'm also going to do his top 5 games of all time. These are always fun. Are you ready?
Yes.
His number 5 is Super Mario
RPG.
Galaxy
64.
2.
Sunshine.
Oh my God, Chris Davis got it.
Sunshine.
Super
Sunshine?
Mario's Sunshine.
Wait,
That's
really?
a good one.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding.
Okay.
He says
Has
this
he played
game.
the other Mario games?
He does not specify. He says
Oh.
this game is too underrated.
Wait. If his favorite Mario is Sunshine, I bet he does the voices of young people in his voice work.
Because he's
Okay.
a woman.
No,
I don't
just go. Whatever.
I don't follow. I'm sorry. You lost me.
It fell apart.
Because they're young.
He says this game is too underrated. I got a lot of shit from y'all for this entry on my Chatter of the Week submission a few years back, but I stand by my choice because of how gorgeous the visuals are and how well they hold up, especially for a GameCube game. How fun the platforming is, how interesting the flood mechanics are, and the music is a delight. I challenge y'all to give it a try again eventually, even if for only an hour or two. To be fair, when the rumors were floating around about this new potential Mario All-Stars and the theory that Sunshine was a part of it, if that comes to pass, that is probably the reason I'm most excited for that as a package, because I would love to revisit that game.
Is on, depending on if it comes out on the Switch. I do have it, like, I think I got it running on my Wii U. But it's on my short list of games I want to replay, right behind Galaxy.
That is the only 3D Mario game I've never finished.
Because yeah, I agree with you. That is the situation I'm in. That's the only Mario I never got around to finishing, and so I want to, just because I never got around to it.
You know,
Now it seems like
3D World. That's a really good game.
Oh, I haven't played 3D World. I need to do that too.
3D World was pretty good.
Way
better than 3D Land.
I get those confused all the time.
3D
Number
Land
4
is on the DS, World's on the Wii U.
Yeah, I need to play
The bigger
the
ones
Wii.
on the bigger system. Think of it that way.
His number 4 game of all time, Metal Gear Solid
2.
3.
Chris Davis, you didn't say anything.
2.
He's gonna say something random like 4.
It's Peace Walker.
No.
You're all wrong.
Okay.
That is what Chris
Peace
Davis
Walker.
would have said.
Yeah, he would have said Peace Walker.
I also got a ton of shit for this entry, but it was my foray into what is now one of my favorite franchises. I've since played most of the other games, but Peace Walker was really important to me, as well as the franchise, narratively speaking. Wait, what?
He's only played most of the other games?
So I skipped in parentheses. He wrote Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, and 5.
Whoa.
So he skipped
What?
1 and 4. 1
What
and
the
4.
fuck? Those are both good games.
1 is incredible, and 4 is, those are both incredible games. Those.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
How
I don't know.
can you even be a Metal Gear fan if you didn't play Solid 1?
We are
Weird.
in the
like,
Especially if he's a fucking GameCube and he loved GameCube games. How did he not play Twin Snakes?
All right, Fuzzy Turd. Considering the fact that we're all in quarantine right now, that is a good game to play. Catch up on the series.
what's
Play
his number
those
3?
2 games. Number 3, Uncharted
2.
3.
I'm gonna
Drake's
say
Deception.
the first one. Okay, so yeah, that's equally strange.
Before you hate on me, I got my PS3 bundle. I got my PS3 bundle with this game, so this was my introduction to a whole new world where video games could accomplish that. I've played every game in the series since and loved them all. Maybe not the first game, but I still enjoyed it. But Uncharted 3's graphics blew me the fuck away. Its music was literally awe-inspiring, and the story and characters are just amazing.
Weird.
It all makes sense. That's a great series. Number 2 is Red Dead Redemption.
Revolver.
2.
He's picking out the black sheep.
Red Dead
Nightmare.
Red Dead Redemption 2. I platinumed the first game, so he platinum? Okay, yeah, I guess you can get platinum on PS3. Yeah, you're right. I always forget that. I platinumed the first game, so don't think I forgot about it. 2 is just an objective masterpiece, as I'm sure most of you will. I do. I was hooked from the first second of even the damn startup screen, and didn't even think about anything else until I finished it. Don't need to talk about why. It was so amazing. You'll definitely know. And his number 1 is a doozy. His number 1, Dragon Ball Z.
Budokai Tenkaichi 3.
Tenkaichi 3.
Budokai 3.
Yeah.
Okay, he
No,
wrote
it's-
No, yeah, Budokai 3. Just not
Okay.
Tenkaichi, just Budokai 3.
Okay, it's Budokai 3.
Oh, I
I
got
did-
it.
Okay.
Yeah, Budokai 3. This is the one game y'all approve of, and for good reason. I recently played it again for nostalgia at first, and while some of the RNG stuff was grating, I still loved it enough to 100% complete it. The combat is way better than the Tenkaichi games. The visuals still hold up and are honestly pretty. Finding the secret Super Saiyan 4 transformation when I was 5 was enough to make me kid jizz in my
Oh,
shorts.
It
Kid
was so
Goku-
good.
Kid Goku from Dragon Ball was in it, and honestly, I've memorized every sound effect and dialogue in the damn game from how many hours I've pumped into it. God, that game has all that kind of shit in it?
Yes.
I thought that was
so much
Budokai 3
unlockable
was
shit.
like objectively at the
Mhm.
time like one of the best Dragon Ball Z games ever.
Is it not just okay? This is just me being ignorant here. Is that series not just fighting games?
Oh, man.
Is it
Poor
like an
dude.
adventure
Poor
game?
Nick. Poor Nick.
A lot of those like anime fighting games like also have these
Here you
like,
go, Nick.
like the
If you look
Naruto
here,
games were like that too. They have these
They're-
like
they're-
full RPG like single player games. It's
Yeah.
There's
weird.
like an overworld, and you can literally fly around in the overworld, and you kind of play the story of the game. So you
Yeah.
start out like, oh, you're on Earth, and you have to fly to where fucking like, if I recall, it's been a
where
while, but like,
Vegeta
where, like,
is,
yeah, exactly. Like, oh, it's
and then
time
you
for
fight
them,
him.
like, yeah. So there actually is story mechanics to it. Like, oh, Raditz kidnapped Gohan. You have to go save him. So you have to fly there. There's a lot of, oh, now you're on Namek and you're playing as Gohan, and so you have to like fly around to go find the Dragon Balls that are physically in the world, and you have a fucking
Mhm.
dragon radar, and you have to go and find them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a pair of Game Boy Advance Dragon Ball games that were called the Legacy
Oh, those
of
were
Goku.
super. Yeah, that was
Yeah, they were top-down RPGs.
Legend something.
Legacy of Goku.
Legacy of Goku. Thank you. Yeah. Those were like very story driven.
Yeah.
Damn, I had no idea.
But yeah,
Right.
Budokai 3, that being his number 2 or number 1.
Number 1.
Yeah, that's a good fucking game.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Fuzzy Turd. That will conclude our supporter spotlight tonight. But we appreciate it. Again, I may end up looping back around and reading some additional answers from other people who have been featured in this before in the past. But if you are a supporter and you want to enter so we can read your answers, just go to Discord at discord.gg/4player. If you're a patron or a Twitch subscriber, you should have access to the supporter spotlight channel. Click that. Click the pinned link in there, and you'll be able to fill out the form. It is now time to wrap up the show with the 4-player minute, and for love of God, let's do it. Let's do it quick. Brad, make it so. Hype, sweat, thank you, and fuck you.
Nope.
Or
Nope. All
Any
sweats.
comment?
All
all
sweats. for me.
sweats.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's a sweaty time.
So
It's
sweaty.
got the sweats.
Sweat for the upcoming games and maybe the lack of games shortly thereafter. This month, Trials of Mana comes out, the remake. I'm interested, but I'm a little worried about it, as well as the new Sakura Wars game. I'm excited, but ultimately it's a sweat for me because, the sim stuff is cool, but the dating sim stuff is cool, but the combat looks kind of bad. Another sweat for me is just I've been playing a lot of Slay the Spire. Every time I turn on my Switch, I could play Animal Crossing, I could play anything else on there, and I just play Slay the Spire.
Oh, there you go.
And my fourth sweat is going to be for the ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I hear it goes places, some strange places. I have a theory. As someone who's only in Wall Market, can I throw out like some random theory? I have no idea if it's like confirmed or true or anything. Can I just throw out some?
Okay, first of all, if you throw out this theory, Chris Davis will not be able to stop whatever face
turn off your camera.
he's going to make.
Turn off your camera.
He
I'll
will
turn
spoil.
around.
He
I
will
turn
give it
around.
away.
This is just some crazy. It's a crazy theory. It's literally a crazy theory. I don't want anybody to confirm it. I think that this is not even a remake.
What do you mean?
Oh my God, they're Dark Towering this.
That's all I'll say. Even though it's in the title. And
They're remaking the timeline.
just I'm not going to say anything. Let me just say Kingdom Hearts goes places, right?
It goes places.
I think maybe Final Fantasy VII's going places. Again,
Dark
this
places.
This is unsubstantiated.
Does like Woody show up at the end of it?
And it might even be something we don't even know based on the end of this game. I think it might be like a whole series thing, but we'll see. Text me if you like more of my theories about this project.
Smash that like button.
And my final sweat is for everything else going on in my life right now, which is, you know, crazy and bad and sad. And, you know, I'm worried about other real life things right now that, we'll see.
Hope it works out.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to go next?
I'll do it. You can't stop me. Fuck you. My 4-player minute starts now. My hype. I'm probably about to start building a new tabletop for my desk. I have a nice desk, like the legs. I have some nice legs. It's mechanical, so it can raise up and down with a button press. But the tabletop itself is a really shitty piece of material from IKEA. It's not even like particle board. It's like corrugated cardboard inside it. And the weight of my monitors is starting to crush it.
God.
So I've decided to build a new top. So I'm pretty excited about that. Hopefully that goes well. What the fuck? Okay. Whew. I thought my note got deleted. My sweat is for Final Fantasy VII Remake. I don't know what to fucking do. I kind of want to play it, but I'm playing other games, and like I'm already behind on 2020 games. And I kind of want to.
You're about to finish Half-Life, right?
Yes, I am about to finish Half-Life. I will probably finish that tomorrow.
Well, so that's where you go next, right?
I guess so. There's plenty of other games I can play. My thank you is going to go to Bernadette. She's been helping me out with my Animal Crossing island. She has some good ideas. We're kind of planning it out together and stuff like that, having fun. So thanks to her for that. And then a fuck you is going to go to Lao Kung Pao. This motherfucker all week has been promising me the gold mine of fucking turnip prices on his island. And then today in chat, he's like, oops, never mind.
The bubble popped.
Yeah, he's like, I thought I was gonna have 500, but I'm actually only gonna have like 100 and something, blah blah blah. So I fucking thought I was about to make like 4 million bells.
Yeah, fucking scammed.
No, that is not the case. This piece of shit thinks he can get a drum set from me after scamming me out of my turnip bells.
Holy shit!
Thank you. No, thank you.
Holy shit!
He's proud of it in chat. Look at him.
Thank you, Nolan. Crispy.
Let's see. My sweat this week is for the fact that I like ordering a lot of stuff online.
Stress ordering.
Yeah, it's still the biggest concern of my life from last week. And it's started to bleed over into like the games I play. You know, like I'm like, oh, I've never bought loot boxes in Overwatch. Maybe maybe I'll buy a couple. Why
is your
not?
stimulus going towards Overwatch? Damn it, Chris.
Luckily, I haven't got my stimulus yet. But, yeah, I'm gonna have to like lock it up or something. But yeah, it's weird. Like I'm kind of just like ordering shit on Amazon a lot, and I feel shitty because it's like COVID and money, and I don't know, but whatever. My hype is actually for that new XCOM game. That shit looks dope. That shit looks fucking cool.
Yes, it does.
Chimera Squad looks really neat. My other sweat is for, I don't know, upgrading to Windows 10. I feel like every time I try to do anything to this computer, it's like, oh, well, it's really simple to upgrade. And then it's like, oh, but you got to change these other 3 things first. And then those aren't simple. And it's just, I don't know. And my hype, well, what did I do? Hype, sweat. Fuck you. How
about Roche? How about you give it to Roche?
How about fuck you
in
to
a
the
game you have
fucking...
not played, but he deserves a fuck you.
How about fuck you to the fucking protesters in Ohio and Michigan?
I think that's
just fucking...
Have y'all seen that horrifying photo?
Covered in Jesus's blood.
Come on, guys. I heard all about it. and then I looked at the pictures and I was like, oh, there's just as many Trump flags as I thought there would be.
Did you see the horrifying photos of the fucking protesters like banging on the the glass
Yeah.
doors of the?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
look
Fucking zombies.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fucking
My God,
the white
crazy fucking
flag.
people. Chris Davis.
My first hype this week is also for XCOM Chimera Squad. It's time. It's time. We've been needing a new XCOM experience, and it's been what, 4 years now since XCOM 2?
Has it been that long?
Yeah, we got War of the Chosen like 2 years ago.
Oh wow.
It's time for us to get a new XCOM, and this I hope this gives us like a good taste of what we can expect for XCOM 3. So my second hype this week is going to go towards a game that was announced today, formally announced. Crytek has finally gotten their fucking act together, and they are doing a remaster re-release of Crysis 1.
Doing a remaster of an old game is not really getting their shit together.
Well, they're slowly getting their shit together, man, because they have been on the downhill for quite a while.
Yeah.
I didn't even know if they were still a thing.
Yeah, they've basically been putting all their eggs in their basket with the Hunt Showdown, and that's actually
I forgot they made the Hunt.
Yeah.
That's like the only reason they didn't die, right?
But they've
that
also
game
been
was a surprising success.
Well, they've also been doing besides that, and that was successful. They've been doing side work for other developers, doing contracts stuff. So, but yeah, they're putting out Crysis again, and it's they're talking about like fucking ray tracing support and everything, which will make that game amazingly gorgeous. And yeah, it's looking to, it sounded like something that's we should actually maybe invest in. I'm really happy about it.
Should we though? Should we?
Yeah, we should be.
It's coming to the Switch.
Yeah, it's actually coming to the Switch.
It's gonna be 480p.
No, 480p, 20 frames per second. Yeah.
20 frames per second?
No, they haven't converted any specs. I'm just saying that's probably what it would be.
Oh, okay. I was like, God damn, that is not something you put on a box. Like you.
Well, no, yeah. When you play it on the Switch, you have to go through a crisis.
Yeah.
So it's pretty intense.
It came to 360.
My first fucky this week goes to, well, shit. Let's put it towards Activision. They're a mainstay here. I don't know if y'all heard about it. The story that came out last week. But evidently, Activision CEO Bobby Kotick decided that it would be a great PR stunt to give out his personal cell phone to 10,000 of the Activision employees. In case they wanted to call them up and they had any concerns about their jobs or anything like that.
I haven't heard anything come of that since that announcement was made.
Yeah, nothing has happened yet, but I'm like, it only takes one person.
It only takes.
Do it to turn it into a beautiful
don't encourage
fire.
that. Don't encourage that.
No, this man is a fucking asshat of a human being. He fucking deserves some shit like this. Just one person out there, whoever you are.
Scarecrow says I'm calling him right now.
Hey, fucking deserves what?
He deserves to have his fucking phone number published so people can like trash him for months. Do it. Fuck this guy.
I'm sure he won't be able to handle that. Sure.
And
he has
my
a burner
other
phone.
Fuck you goes to the I forget the name of the group that owns them, but the group that financial group that owns the Gawker Media channels.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't talk about it in the news today, but Jason Schreier is leaving Kotaku after 8 years.
Yep.
And he's
starting his own another podcast too.
Yeah, he's joining up with a couple other former Kotaku former editors. They're gonna do a podcast. But yeah, he's leaving basically because of all the bullshit the new owners of the Gawker channels have been doing for the past like 7 months.
Kotaku is bleeding.
They are bleeding talent. They literally have very little left at this point. It's really kind of sad, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, you can still follow those
it's
people.
like-
Tim Rogers is gone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not. It's
Tim's
not. It's not
gone.
like. It's not like those people are disappearing into the ether.
Yeah.
The content that was great on Kotaku will now just be great somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't really been a huge fan of like Jason Schreier and Tim Rogers for me have been kind of like the only two people I was really interested in hearing
that's
from.
what I would say. I don't follow
for a long
Kotaku. I
time.
follow Jason, and when he posts a link to a Kotaku article he wrote, I will go to that article. Like I don't
Yeah.
ever go to Kotaku.com. That's not something I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck those guys.
All right.
So
My turn. All right. I'll try to keep this short. My hype this week goes to well, I'll start with my sweat. My sweat is Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I'm also hyped to play. I'm starting to feel the itch. I'm really excited to keep going, but also very, very concerned about the future of that. I don't want to let myself fall in love with it too much because I don't know if there's a happy ending in the cards for this project, if you will. But we'll see. My hype goes to so there's a VR game coming out next week called Lies Beneath. Actually, I think it may have come out this week called Lies Beneath. It's like it's like a comic art style like horror game with like first person shooter. I don't know. It looks pretty cool. It originally came out on the Oculus Quest, but they've ported it to Oculus Rift, and it looks pretty sweet. So I might give that a try and talk about that on a future show. So I'm looking forward to playing that. Let's see what else we got. My fuck you for the week. Oh man, I don't know. I'm just gonna go with hypes because I'm hyped to finally play Neo 2. Although I don't know when that's going to happen, to be totally honest. Because I don't want to play that at the same time as I'm playing Final Fantasy VII. But I didn't have the urge to play that initially, but it's sitting on my shelf now and it's calling my name, and everything else is getting delayed. So it's like maybe I'll get to that here pretty soon.
It doesn't
Just
make
knock out
sense.
Final Fantasy VII.
It doesn't make sense for you to start Neo 2 before you finish Kingdom Hearts 3.
What?
It doesn't make sense for you to play Kingdom Hearts 3.
I thought you told me not to play Kingdom Hearts 3.
If you play
punk
Kingdom
ass.
Hearts 3, I'm gonna think less of you.
Dude, I want you to play it at this point. I want you to.
So now I'm torn between Brad's friendship and Nolan's friendship.
It's gonna be one of those things where you're like, dude, this is like totally fine. And then like a month after you finish playing it, you'll never mention it ever again. Until they announce Kingdom Hearts 4. You're like, I'm all about it.
You're probably right. Man, I don't know. My hype in general is just my backlog. I have so many things right now that I want to watch and play. Like I'm really enjoying my time with Man in the High Castle, but there's also like 15 other shows that I'm like really eager to like.
That's your hype?
Yeah, dude. I'm just like so like I have so many things that I'm excited to watch. It's like I finished one thing and it doesn't even matter. I'm like on to the next 20 things that I want to watch. I had completely forgotten that What We Do in the Shadows was available on Hulu, so that's exciting. I want to watch that. Man, there's just a ton of things. So I don't know. I have a lot to be excited. Oh, also I should mention this. I mentioned this last week during my 4-player minute, but I'll mention it again. I am doing that. I am participating in that Days Gone week that I'm where I'll be doing a stream on the 25th. Some people in our community have asked me to stream that before, and I'll be finally doing that. I'll be busting up my the game and doing New Game Plus for the first time, and I'm thinking about playing it on one of the harder difficulties. So I'll be streaming starting at noon on the 25th and just going until late at night. I'll be playing a bunch of the story and then taking some time to fight do a lot of the challenges, all the bonus content that came out post release. So a lot of the horror challenges and stuff, which should be a lot of fun and a lot of chaos. So hopefully you guys can join me for that. It should be fun. And I think that's going to do it for me. So that's our show. Anybody else have anything you want to say before I close it out? Final thoughts?
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Avoid that Rona.
Avoid the Rona. Wash your hands. Wear your mask.
Touching your fucking face.
Don't touch your face. And we will see you guys again next week for another show. Until good night.
Bye.
think Nick.
Good
cut out at the
night.
end.
Yeah, you cut out there for a
Yeah,
second. Nick.
Nick cut out a little bit. He said
No.
bye and he
Good
left.
night.
What kind of bootleg Wi-Fi are you hooked up to, man?